With me, no fear, man. Hey, man, we live. What y'all up to, man? I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry I'm late, people. I apologize. I'm sorry I'm late. Hey, wait 1 second, folks. Is we live? Is we live? Is we live? Is we live? How y'all feeling, man? I know. We way past late. I apologize, man. Let me unpin that message as well. Let me unpin that message so y'all don't know that I'm late, okay? I apologize. I'm very sorry. Don't say that, man. Bacon Bills. Don't say that, man. Don't say I'm not sorry. I'm very sorry, Bacon Bills. I am very sorry. Don't say that, man. Don't do that to me, man. You know I'm sorry. You know I'm sorry. Yo, where y'all calling from right now, man? Keith says all the way from Chicago. Yo, where y'all calling from, man? Is there anybody who's international calling in right now? Is there any international people calling in right now, man? Yo, show love to the international people, man. Yo, where the international people at? Where the international people at, man? From Michigan. Okay, Michigan. Yo, Tally. Shout out Tally, man. Yo, 7 even. Yo, you're a little late. We already listened to the new. We listened to the new audio, but we can definitely go through it again if y'all want to review it. But we listened to it on the last live stream. Oh man, we listened to it on the last live stream. Things looking good. Oh, Canada. Oh, shout out to my Canadians out here, man. I'll actually be in Canada soon, actually. Well, do it really count as Canada? I don't know if it counts as Canada. So, okay, so like North Dakota, North Dakota, like we're like 2-3 hours from Canada. So there's like a border in Canada and North Dakota. So I don't know. Man, shout out to Minnesota, man. Let's get to it, man. Okay, so Officer Tatum, probably, listen, man, the world's greatest sellout. We ain't never seen a sellout like Officer Tatum before, man. And trust me, we've seen a lot of people, bro. We've seen like Paris back in the day. Yo, do y'all remember Paris from back in the day? Do y'all remember Paris from back in the day who used to be on Fox News a lot? Paris from back in the day? Paris from back in the day was probably, he was like the first sellout that I say, yeah, bro. Like the butter biscuits in Masa's crib gotta be tasty. Cause this level of selling out is crazy. Dream Dog, that's a fact, Dream Dog. That's a fact. Right? Then it's like Jesse Lee Peterson overtook Paris, right, as the sellout of the decade. Then Candace Owens, before this new arc she took on, Candace Owens was in the running for sellout of the decade as well. That's a fact. Now it's Tatum. I don't think anybody has Tatum beat, bruh. Okay? I don't think anybody got Tatum beat for a sellout. So let's get to it, man. Okay, so Tatum has a debate. Now, before we even get to Tatum's debate, I want to touch on this real quick. So Tatum had a debate on Stephen A. Smith. And let me see real quick, man. Stephen A. Smith, Nolan Wells. So Tatum had a debate on Stephen A. Smith's channel with another brother. And even Stephen A. Smith, which I was shocked, because Stephen A. Smith don't need a reason to defend white folks who are guilty. Okay, perfect. Yeah, right here. Cool, right here. Perfect. This is it right here. Yo, you know something is bad or something is off when you got Stephen A. Smith telling the truth about white folks. Do you understand how off you, when Stephen A. Smith is telling the truth about white folks, and I don't want to make this about white folks because this is about a specific group of white folks, but you understand what I mean, right? And the good white folks, y'all don't take offense because y'all understand what I mean. But Officer Tatum did an interview on Stephen A. Smith, but even Stephen A. Smith is saying that Nolan Wells' death is suspicious and it's keeping him up at night. So the very platform he goes on to debate Nolan Wells is telling him, bro, whatever you said about Nolan Wells is false. It's false. You know you're on the wrong side of history when Stephen A. Smith is speaking up for Nolan Wells' family. When Stephen A. Smith is saying something bad happened to Nolan Wells. I don't know what happened, but something bad happens. When Stephen A. Smith is going out of his way and voluntarily criticizing white folks, you know you're on the wrong side of history. Stephen A. Smith don't ever criticize white folks. So when Stephen A. Smith comes on his platform and speak on Nolan Wells and says, yo, something bad happened to Nolan Wells, then you got to really look at yourself real quick, man.
I said, here's the bottom line.
Wait, 1 second. Yo, sis, we are live. Well, don't say nothing. We live. We live right now. Wait. Sorry. I can't hear you. Huh?
You'll call me back then?
Yeah. I'll be done in like 4 hours. So it's a live stream on and I think Nolan Wells.
Oh, okay.
I said talk to you. Peace. All right, man. Sorry, bro. Sorry, bro. Let's go back again, okay? Sorry about that. Let's start the introduction again. Okay, I apologize. Family was calling. I apologize. Family was calling, okay? Stephen A. Smith believes that something really bad happened to Nolan Wells. And for all the people who is anti-Nolan Wells family, who's been going off on Nolan Wells, you know you have a problem when Stephen A. Smith is speaking up on behalf of Nolan Wells and going against the white agenda. Again, not white folks, we love y'all. We talking about the specific group of white folks and white nationalists who was on social media, who was on Twitter, who was on YouTube, bashing Nolan Wells and like, you know, his family, bashing his mama, calling him mama racist. Now, when Stephen A. Smith is going against the dominant society and their narratives, then you know you're on the wrong side of history because Stephen A. Smith don't need a reason to defend white folks who are in the wrong. He does that voluntarily and willfully.
An 18-year-old kid is dead, and inexplicably so. And somehow, some way, we need to get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
I find it very, very hard to believe that he just drowned.
Come on.
I find it very, very hard to believe that there was no foul play involved.
Come on.
Even Officer Tatum himself said there may indeed have been foul play involved.
No, don't do that. No, see, bruh. You see, man, you give Stephen A. Smith some credit. You give Stephen A. Smith some credit, and he just don't know how to take it, bruh. No. Tatum ain't never said that, bruh. Tatum called Benjamin Crump a race hustler. Tatum says Benjamin Crump is a race hustler for saying something bad happened to Nolan Wells and we need answers. Don't you get to saying Tatum said, nah, he ain't never said that, bruh. Tatum ain't never, ever, throughout this entire scenario said, yo, something bad could happen. Because if that's the take, then Tatum's entire, week and a half run has been disingenuous and bad faith. Now, we already knew it was disingenuous and bad faith, right? We already knew this. We already knew it. But if you're saying Tatum is telling you behind the scenes that something bad could have happened to Nolan Wells, then why is Tatum going off on Benjamin Crump? Why is Tatum going off on anybody with that exact same sentiment? Because Benjamin Crump never said Nolan Wells' friends killed him. Nolan Wells' family, Nolan Wells' mama, Nolan Wells' daddy ain't never said Nolan Wells' friends killed him. All they've said is something happened to my son. We don't believe he accidentally drowned. And Tatum has been on a tear like damn near harassing these people. So don't you get to speaking up for Tatum now, bruh. See, you can't give Stephen A. Smith any credit, bruh. He just don't know how to take it.
There was no foul play involved. Even Officer Tatum himself said there may indeed have been foul play involved. He was just challenging whether or not it was the three white kids that people say were with Nolan Wells all by their lonesome, when in fact, according to Officer Tatum, there were other people there, some of whom happened to be black.
Oh, that's what it is. So, got you, brother. Tatum saying, hey, man, why y'all blaming the white folks, man? There was black folks there too, man, all right? Blaming the black folks. Listen, this will be the first time Tatum has said this, and I can almost guarantee you Tatum was probably forced into this opinion, right? Because when you're sitting in front of somebody who is not no dummy, when you're sitting in front of somebody who got common sense, you're going to get exposed, right? It's going to unravel. So if Officer Tatum believes that something bad happened to Nolan Wells, that something nefarious happened to Nolan Wells, that Nolan Wells might have been murdered or killed, if he believes this, then why is Tatum spending the last week and a half or 2 weeks doing what he's been doing? Why is Tatum interviewing the friends to say, nah, man, these people is race hustling grifters? The family never said the friend killed him. Benjamin Crump never said the family killed him. None of the spokesperson for Nolan Wells have said the friends killed him. All they said is something bad happened to Nolan Wells. So why haven't Tatum been spending his time trying to figure out what happened to Nolan Wells? Why is Tatum spending his time going at the family and going at Benjamin Crump? It's all a grift. And the grift has gotten even worse. If you truly believe something bad happened to this young man who looks like you, who looks like your sons, don't you think a better use of your time would be trying to figure out what happened to him, trying to bring him justice, instead of going off on his family and spending the last week and a half trying to make his mama and his daddy and his family look like racist? Man, I don't know, bruh.
Who's to say that those were the only people involved? Who was to say that they're not innocent after all, and it was somebody else who committed a vile act that led to Nolan Wells being deceased? His funeral having taken place just a few days ago. There is no doubt that regardless of what we want to say, the fact that Tyler Perry is involved and paid for the funeral, the fact that Spike Lee and Terrell Owens were in attendance, the fact that Benjamin Crump, a civil rights attorney, is representing the family, and Al Sharpton is giving the funeral. Let's not act like we don't know that this is being turned into a civil rights case. I don't know whether that's wrong or not, because to be quite honest with you, black kid is dead after going out with white dudes. Yeah, I got a problem with that. That picture don't look right, particularly in the state of Mississippi. I'm just going to keep it a buck and call it like that.
Do you understand? Oh my God. Do you understand, folks? Nah, we got to stand up right now, bruh. We would never see this. It takes a situation this extreme to get Stephen A. Smith, white America favorite nigga, for Stephen A. Smith to say, oh, nah, you white folks, nah, we can't defend you white folks, man. For Stephen A. to say, nah, hold on, bruh. Okay, hold on, bruh, okay? Oh, no, hold on, bruh. For Stephen A. Smith to say, these good white folks might have done something wrong. Do you understand how hard that was for Stephen A. Smith? Do you understand that it takes nothing outside of 100% boxed in, undisputable evidence and proof to get a brother like Stephen A. Smith to go against the dominant society? For anybody who's still questioning anything that has came out, I feel sorry for you, bruh. Because even the Uncle Ruckuses ain't denying it anymore, bruh. Now, Stephen A. Smith is saying, all right, his butt buddy Tatum, his butt buddy is, now the butt buddy is saying, oh, no, something bad happened to Nolan Wells. I just don't believe these good white folks I interviewed did it. Okay, cool. we can compromise. All right? We can compromise, even though there's not really much compromise. Listen, man, nobody is saying the friends 100% did it. We're just saying they know something they're not saying. That's what we're saying. Now, if you ask me, in my humble opinion, Nolan Walsh was murdered, and that audio proves that dead body was probably nearby. Right, but you know, if we want to be diplomats, right? If we want to be diplomatic, and we got to come to the table and we got to negotiate to get the answers, then okay. Let's just say, okay, Tatum, okay. If you want to grift and make money off them white folks, cool. Grift and make money off them white folks, bruh. But come back to the middle and let's figure out what happened to Nolan Wells. No, this is not. Stephen A. Smith is
into a civil rights case. I don't know whether that's wrong or not, because to be quite honest with you, black kid is dead after going out with white dudes. Yeah, I got a problem with that. That picture don't look right, particularly in the state of Mississippi. I'm just going to keep it a buck and call it like that. The flip side to it is that if Officer Tatum is correct, and we have no reason at this particular moment in time to believe otherwise, if there were other people that were there, if there were 60 people on an island, if Nolan Wells was fraternizing with an abundance of other people, ended up staying behind of his own volition, that would point to an absence of guilt needing to be directed in the direction of the 3 white kids he's believed to have been in attendance with and went to the island with. So all of that stuff comes into play. We don't know. Here's the one thing that we do need.
But that's the point, though. But that's the point of Benjamin Crump. Benjamin Crump is saying, you can look at this and say, oh yeah, he was murdered. Like, clearly somebody killed this kid. But when the police started their investigation, the police started off the foundation of their investigation with nothing happened to this kid. There was no foul play. Benjamin Crump and the family had to step in to get the story out to put pressure on him. Straight up. The governor came out and said, man, nothing happened to him, bro. Like, what's going on? Man, I haven't seen nothing to show there's something. So what's all this hostility and hate now towards Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton and the people getting justice? So y'all have done all this tap dancing around the circle. Y'all have jived and tap danced, and now you guys have fully came around to after the audio has came out, after the interviews have came out, after the GPS data, after the first-hand accounts, y'all have finally tap danced all the way around to the circle to say, you know what? Y'all are right. Something bad happened to him, but we just don't believe these good white folks we love did it. Man, all right, bruh. So then why would you say Benjamin Crump is wrong for saying it's a civil right? Of course it's a civil rights issue. Of course. Because they was getting ready to do Nolan Wells how they did every other black death we've seen online. They was getting ready to do Nolan Wells how they did that beautiful black woman who was murdered at the sleepover. Everybody was drinking at the sleepover. Everybody had something to drink. But the only black woman at the sleepover was found dead the next morning in a puddle of blood. Come on, bruh. Come on. They would have done Nolan Wells how they did that beautiful black boy who was found in the mat. We ain't never seen anybody in the history of Earth, died in a gym mat. We ain't never seen it. But when it comes to inexplicable black deaths, they got the most creative explanations. There's not a mind more creative than a racist trying to explain how a black man who was murdered was his fault. There's not a more creative mind. Listen, man, they came with a PowerPoint. Hey, listen, man, Kendrick may have slipped in the mat, he may have went face first, but listen, when you go face first and you turn at a 15-degree angle, you might get stuck this way, and when you get stuck this way, the fixation of your nose at the 12th-degree angle is gonna get you stuck, and when you get stuck, why is there always inexplicable explanations and creative explanations when it comes to explaining why a black person died? Yeah, Kendrick. Yeah. Dog. When they was trying to explain how Kendrick died, it was nonsense, bruh. Dog, they said, Kendrick left a shoe in there, and Kendrick went this way, and he turned this way, and the angle he was turned, I said, what? That don't make sense. What do you mean a star athlete couldn't get himself out of the mat? Are you crazy? Are y'all nuts? A star athlete, an athletic specimen with like a 40-inch vertical, he couldn't get himself out of a mat? Man, hey, bruh, y'all gotta stop it, man. So yeah, of course we believe something bad happened to Nolan Wells. And if it wasn't for Benjamin Crump, Nolan Wells would have been a Kendrick. We learned during the Kendrick case, by the way, we learned during his case, like the sheriff's son was apparently like bullying him and threatening him beforehand. So we had a documented case of Kendrick being threatened, Kendrick being in an altercation, them white brothers wanting Kendrick gone for apparently dealing with a girl they was dealing with. And when Kendrick popped up missing mysteriously, the white boys said, we ain't do a goddamn thing. And the person investigating his murder was the father of the suspects. But they tell you, man, you a race hustler, you a grifter for bringing up how Kendrick died, though. So they was getting ready to do Nolan Wells exactly how they did Kendrick. Benjamin Crump stepped in and says, not under my watch. And now all the tap dancers are saying Benjamin Crump is the problem. Not Tatum, who apparently now believes something bad happened to Nolan Wells, but has spent the last week and a half disparaging the family for seeking justice. Man, y'all cut it out, bruh. Y'all are disgusting. Y'all are
thing
nasty.
That we do need to agree upon. Every exhaustive measure must be taken to get to the bottom of this, to find out why Nolan Wells is no longer with us. That much is true. Whereas we can't definitively point guilt in the direction of any specific individual at this time, we can simply say, this seems very fishy, very shady. Something happened to this kid. Let's find out what the hell happened to this kid. Let's get to the bottom of it. Terrell Owens is right about that. Spike Lee is right about that. Tyler Perry is right about that. Benjamin Crump is right about that. Charles F. Coleman Jr. is right about that. And I didn't hear Officer Tatum saying we should shut down an investigation and we shouldn't put forth the strenuous effort to find out about it. So everybody seems in agreement. Let's push forward with an investigation. Let's find out what the hell happened. Let's not designate this an accident and be gone and have no explanation whatsoever as to what happened.
Officer Tatum he literally says, y'all have no proof anything bad happened. Why are y'all out here race hustling? What are you talking about? Yes, he literally said, listen, now I don't know if Tatum have changed his mind during this debate we're about to review. Right, we're about to review. So I don't know if he has changed his mind during this review. Tatum literally said, in real life, we don't have any evidence anything bad happened. Why y'all out here race hustling? So now Tatum is saying, oh man, hey, something bad happened. Man, hey, cut it out, bruh. That's the definition of a grift. Your opinion changed depending the audience you're in front of. When Tatum is in front of his audience, them white folks, and shout out to the white folks, because again, I'm not talking about all white folks, bro. Understand this, man. I'm talking about the white folks who was online disparaging Nolan Wells' family, calling them racist. When Tatum is in front of that audience, all of a sudden, race hustling, they grifters, there's no evidence whatsoever, nothing bad happened, cut it out. But when Tatum is in front of a neutral audience or in front of like Stephen A. Smith, or now all of a sudden, well, listen, man, I'm not saying nothing bad happened. Yes, you did. You literally said it. You literally said there's no proof anything bad happened. Why y'all still race hustling? That's how you know these people don't even believe their own shtick. It's all a grift. It's literally all a grift.
Have no explanation whatsoever as to what happened to Nolan Wells. That is unacceptable in the year 2026. You're 18 years old, in good health, accustomed to being at home with your family. Your family says they've taught you to never depart from a group of people. And the fact that you ended up apparently doing so seems to be at odds with his upbringing, according to what his parents say. I'm not going to accuse parents who just lost their child of any kind of shady intent whatsoever. That's cruel. I'm not going to do that.
Yo, bro, I'm sick and tired of this middle of the road nonsense. Like, bro, pick a side and stick to it, bro. Like, I'm sick and tired of this middle of the road nonsense. Listen, something bad happened to him. I'm going to ignore all the evidence currently at play so I could placate to a particular audience while also trying to keep the black audience with me by saying, well, they wrong for criticizing the family. Nah, hey, bro. Hold on, bro. A lot of y'all, to me, is too conditioned into thinking these folks are your friends. The people who are criticizing Nolan Wells' family, the people who are calling Nolan Wells' mama a racist, these are not your friends. Yo, these are people who only concern is to making sure you stay down. They're not interested in equality. How can the oppressor be your friend if you are the oppressed? You would not be oppressed if the oppressor was your friend. That don't even make sense. How can I be starving, broke, and homeless and decrepit and my friend is a fat billionaire? How would that make sense? We not homies. If I'm broke and homeless and you my friend and you a fat billionaire, how we friends? If you oppressed, if you starving, how can you say the oppressor is your friend if you oppressed? How does that make sense? The person who is capable of changing that is choosing not to change it. The person who could change your suffering is choosing not to change your suffering. But yet that's your homie. So when Stephen Smith come online and say, hey man, let's placate to people like Nick Fuentes and these white nationalists and these people who believe that black suffering is deserved. What are you doing? This is not a situation to be middle of the road about, bruh. Facts, A-Hill, facts, fence sitting. Yo, all this riding the fence is despicable and is nasty, bruh. Yo, if there's one situation I think that have arose in the last couple of years, is this Nolan Wells situation to me it's the last thing you gotta be a fence sitting about. It's the last thing you can fence it about, bruh. But you trying to play both sides, man, listen, man, we're not saying, these white folks did it. There was black folks there too. What you mean there was some black folks there too? Bruh, the island had 1,000 or 2,000 people? I can guarantee, bro, out of 2,000 people, there were 5. About 5 black folks probably. So you telling me, hey, man, listen, man, I find it suspicious that there was, this black kid died on the island of like 2,000 white folks, and the Mississippi folks, they came and they did an investigation and they said it was no foul play. That's suspicious. But we got to remember, folks, people, there were black folks on the island too. We can't just say that white folks did it. We got to remember that there was 5 black folks on the island. Yo, what's the percentage real quick, bruh? Okay? What's the percentage, man? What is, here, 1 second, bro. What's the percentage? Yo, listen, 5 black folks on the island of 2,000, oh my God, bro. It's less than 1%. I think it's like 0.25%, right? Yeah, isn't, let's see. 0.25%, right, I think? Yeah, cool. My 0.25%. That's the percentage of black folks on the island. 0.25%. 0.25. Like, come on, bruh. Come on, man. And that's necessary to say? That's necessary to say? Man, y'all nasty, bruh. Y'all nasty.
But we also need to recognize we got to get to the bottom of this. We got to find out what happened. Come hell or high water. Exhaust every means and every measure. Exhausting ourselves and put whatever resources we need to put behind everything to get to the bottom of this. Because something like that simply cannot happen.
Yeah, but you know what you don't do? Right? Okay. You know what doesn't help? Hey man, y'all gotta stop saying it was white folks. There was 0.25% of the island was like black folks too. Come on, people. Right? Come on, man. Come on. 1/4 of 1% was black folks on the island. Hey, there was 5 black folks on the island, bro. So we can't make this a white and black issue. We can't say white folks did it. We gotta say it was black folks. Man, hey, bro, y'all gotta stop this bootlicking, man. But let's get to this particular interview with Stephen A. Smith and Nolan Wells. Okay, so let's get to it, man. So, I wish I knew the brother name that they debated. Okay. The brother name is Charles F. Coleman Jr., and he's a former federal prosecutor. So Officer Tatum is debating a former federal prosecutor. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm not a fan of Stephen A. Smith bringing Officer Tatum on. I think Tatum is only here. Tatum is so dishonest. He's just here to grift. But Stephen A. Smith brought on Tatum versus a former federal prosecutor. First off, understand how insane that is. A YouTuber wants to debate a federal prosecutor about the proceedings and what needs to be done in a murder investigation. So Officer Tatum is brought on to debate this federal prosecutor about Nolan Wells on Stephen A. Smith's channel. And Tatum is just a mess, bruh. Tatum is just a race hustling grifter. He accused the family of Nolan Wells of race hustling. He disrespects the family, accuses them of being race hustlers, which I don't explain. Wait 1 second. Somebody says the boat audit was all needed to hear. Why is nobody in jail? No, that's a fact. 100% fact. But Tatum was brought on Stephen A. Smith's show to debate a federal prosecutor on this Nolan Wells situation. Now, this entire debate, if you want to call it that, is just Tatum being disingenuous and bad faith and disrespecting Nolan Wells' family. I think any accusation of being bad faith and being race hustlers in a situation where a mother is trying to get justice for her son is disrespect. Straight up. You disrespecting a mother who wants justice for her son. So here's the debate. We're going to go through it. Let's go.
Welcome to the latest edition, the special edition of Straight Shooter. As always, I appreciate the love and support that y'all have been giving me. Thanks so much for all the love and support. Just continue to support Straight Shooter. Just go to Stephen A. Smith, Straight Shooter, and obviously you'll be the latest member of the Straight Shooter family. A lot of stuff to get into, no doubt. I'm going to have another panel today. It's going to be my 4th panel, and it's involving the case of Nolan Wells, the 18-year-old college football player out of Ocean Springs, Mississippi, who died. Body was found July 6th, 2 days after going away with some friends on July 4th. A lot of people are talking about this story because, according to the reports, he was a black dude, and he was the only black dude with a few white dudes, and they all came back alive, and he didn't. Clearly, since that time, we've learned via reporting on the part of some people, via an autopsy report and other things, that there are some conflicting facts that need to be brought to light. And I think that it's time to have a discussion about this from the vantage point of 2 completely different sides. One is a conservative, one is a liberal, one's a former police officer, one is a civil rights attorney and a legal mind. It's a lot to get into, make no mistake about it. It's going to be Officer Tatum on the right. It's going to be Charles F. Coleman Jr.
Bro, I don't like that too, right? You see how he says former police officer? Listen, bro, Tatum is a YouTuber. Call it that, right? And then you didn't say, yo, this dude who Tatum is debating, by the way, just so you guys know, this is a former federal prosecutor. This is a person who just a few years ago was investigating and building cases like this. This is somebody with immeasurable experience in something like this. Tatum has no right. Tatum has no credibility. Tatum, listen, man. Tatum has no business debating somebody like this on his Nolan Wells case. It's really that simple. But Stephen A. Smith introduced Tatum, right? He juiced up his credentials a little bit, right? Like, wasn't Tatum like an officer for like 6 months or some nonsense like that? Like, I'm not sure, right? So you juiced up Tatum's credentials, but you made sure to kind of like undersell the brother's credential who he's debating. He's debating a former federal prosecutor. That's who he's debating on this situation. Straight up.
And there's clearly a lot of things to get into, conflicting accounts. One friend claimed Wells chose to stay behind to talk to a girl. Wells' family strongly disputes this, stating they raised him to never separate from his group. There's a boat issue. Phone records and dispatch audio indicate the friend's boat suffered a mechanical failure around 4 p.m. as they left the island. When calling for a tow, the operator stated everyone on board was in good health. There's also the issue of Nolan Wells' body being found after being reported missing by his mother near midnight. A multi-agency search was launched. A National Park Service ranger found Wells' body floating face down on the northwestern tip of Horn Island on July 6th. Again, civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump is representing the family. And Officer Tatum, as in Brandon Tatum, traveled to Mississippi, interviewed one of the boys involved in the case, but according to him, he probably interviewed several of folks in attendance that July 4th day. So there's a lot of stuff to get into, and without further ado, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I know very little about this case other than what I've read and what I've seen on television. I've heard the reports in.
So why are you moderating a discussion on it? Pause. Oh my God, that stutter was bad. Then why are you moderating a discussion on it if you know nothing about this case? Yo, bro, we live in a matrix, homie. If you know nothing about this case, if you know very little about this case, then why are you moderating a discussion on it? How does that make sense? I'm so confused.
Right. So rather than speculate any longer, let's get to the bottom of it to the best that we can at this particular moment in time, with one autopsy having been done, another autopsy
you banned, bro.
Being performed, and evidence emanating from that's been deemed
Monty, you
incomplete,
banned,
to say
bro.
the least. There's a lot to get into. So without further ado,
I gave you a chance yesterday, and now you back.
Go.
You banned.
Get your ears perked up.
You banned, Monty.
Get your thought process circulating and percolating. It's time to get into it right now. My first guest is a civil rights attorney, a former federal prosecutor, and an MS Now legal analyst. He writes the What Matters Now newsletter on Beehive, and you can catch him on his podcast, The Brothers Briefing. He is joined by a former Arizona police officer turned conservative YouTube political commentator and host of the Officer Tatum podcast. Please welcome to the show, Charles F. Coleman Jr.
No spamming,
and of course,
guys. No
Officer
spamming.
Brandon Tatum. Good afternoon, fellas. How y'all doing? How's everything?
Blessed.
I'm doing well, brother. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Charles Coleman Jr., let's start off with you. What can you tell us? I mean, the Nolan Wells case has been in the news for nearly 3 weeks now. For those who may not be aware of the case or have not kept up with the facts, just to recap, he was an 18-year-old college football player from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. On July 4th, he and a group of friends traveled by private boat to Horn Island, an uninhabited barrier island off the Mississippi coast. Wells was the only black person on the boat. Wells was last seen on the island around 3 p.m. His friends returned to the mainland without him. And as a result, ultimately, a couple of days later, he was found dead. Charles Coleman Jr., at this particular juncture, what's on your mind in terms of this case? What's missing? What are your thoughts?
Well, Stephen A., we just saw the family release their independent autopsy results yesterday, which were conducted by Dr. Roger Mitchell, who is the president of the National Medical Association. And those results were inconclusive. They were able to establish that Nolan Wells did not die by accident, that he did not die of natural causes, but at the same time that they were not able to establish that this was a homicide. In fact, those results established that it was not a homicide. Now, one important caveat to note is that the chief medical officer from the state of Mississippi, the sheriff's office, removed the throat from Nolan Wells's autopsy when their autopsy was conducted first. We have not heard the results of the state's autopsy, but we know that when Roger Mitchell examined the body for the family, that the throat and other organs have been removed. So that your listeners understand, that's not abnormal. That is something that takes place normally during the case of an investigation and of an autopsy. So there's nothing that was wrong there. But at this point, Dr. Roger Mitchell, who did the independent autopsy from the family, has not been able to confirm any sense of foul play as of yet. That was undecided or undecisive. That does not mean that foul play may not have occurred. It just means that the autopsy that was conducted by the family did not show that conclusively. He saw some trauma to, some potential trauma to Nolan Wells's head. That was not something that he was able to explain as being the result of foul play. And we have yet to hear the state's autopsy and what they found or what their findings were. You may recall, and listeners may recall, that initially the sheriff's office said that they had no reason to suspect that foul play was afoot. And what I would say that this autopsy confirms from the family is that while that cannot be certainly confirmed, it still can't be ruled out. So finally, there are 60 witnesses that have been interviewed in the course of this investigation by the sheriff's office. There's likely going to be a presentation to the grand jury, and we don't know what the toxicology report will show from Nolan Wells because much of that is in the hands of the state. But as
don't expect nothing from that grand jury, by the way. Don't expect a goddamn thing from that grand jury. Because how they presented that grand jury, they try to make it seem like, the DA was going out of her way to bring it to the grand jury. Come to find out, the grand jury thing is just a routine thing, right? For any death where the cause is unknown, they investigate, they put the facts together, and then they present it to the grand jury. But if you present something to the grand jury that's slighted in the direction of no foul play, the grand jury doesn't do anything about it. So do not expect anything from that grand jury. Don't expect a goddamn thing from that grand jury at all. And then also too, now I'll be real, like this brother here, like Stephen A. Smith may have given us an interview with two tap dancers, to be honest, bro. He may have given us an interview with two tap dancers. Stephen A. Smith may have pulled off a slick one, right? He may have pulled off a slick one because the brother says he doesn't see any problem with them taking out the throat. Cool. But then why didn't the throat get packed up with the other organs that like y'all put and sent it over to the independent autopsy? Y'all did your autopsy. Because the family allowed y'all to do your autopsy first. So once y'all did your autopsy, the independent autopsy needed like Nolan's throat, his lungs, et cetera, to determine his cause of death. Was his lungs waterlogged? Because if it was waterlogged, then he drowned. If it was not waterlogged, then he did not drown. He was murdered before he hit the water. But an independent autopsy who needed the lungs and the throat to determine the cause of death, he couldn't get that. Because they kept it. So why would this brother say, who is supposed to be on the side of no? Why would this brother say there's nothing wrong with that? So I don't know, bro. This brother sounds like a tap dancer too, to be honest.
I want to know what the state's autopsy is going to say and what are the witness accounts that they are going to put forward in the grand jury.
Officer Tatum, you personally you traveled to Mississippi, from my understanding, to personally interview one of the young men who left the island without Nolan. Why should the public trust whatever account is coming from them right now, in your estimation, based on what you've learned? First things first, I shouldn't say that. First things first, what did you deduce from the conversation you had from one of the friends that was with Nolan Wells? What did you take away from that you'd like the public to know?
Well, Stephen A., I want to make sure this is clear. I actually spoke to all the boys that were being accused. I spoke to family members. I spoke to also their attorneys. It's just that the one young man was had the I wouldn't say courage, because others had reasons why they didn't want to come on the camera, but he was able to come on the camera, and I interviewed him, and I also interviewed another young man who was black, who was there, who had his own personal accounts of what happened. I'm not asking people to believe or not believe. I just wanted to give people the information, so nobody.
Bro, that's a lie. Tatum, that's a lie, bro. Your entire interview was slanted in one direction. If you were somebody who was not trying to do an interview to convince anybody of like anything, you wouldn't do an interview and ask slanted questions, bro. You literally asked, what do you think of them bringing Benjamin Crump and making this a race issue? If you were somebody who was, again, you could have asked that question, oh, yo, what do you think of the work that Benjamin Crump has been doing for Nolan Wells' family? But every question you asked was slanted in the direction of they are race hustling, they're grifting, nothing bad happened here. All right, these people are just doing this for money. That was your narrative, and you pushed it during those interviews, bro. So now you're trying to race hustle and grift as this neutral arbitrator of justice, and you're not. Cut it out.
Nobody had heard from the young boys. Nobody had heard their accounts, and a lot of misinformation was put out there. Some intentionally, some maybe not intentionally, but it was very detrimental.
His black
and
friend
not
was more than an
conducive
Uncle Ruckus
for the investigation into Nolan Wells' death. It was punitive. They came out and started with race. It had to be something nefarious because these boys are white for any other reason. So I wanted to go out and hear the full story, and what I deduced from the interview and talking to everybody is that these young boys had nothing to do with what ended up happening to Nolan Wells. And also they were best friends. I mean, these kids had so many pictures, so many text messages of them.
Man, stop it, bro. Bro, all these kids came out and said, yo, they were Nolan Wells' best friend, right? They all came out. First off, every single one of them says Nolan Wells was my best friend. I can't speak on his relationship with other people, but he was my best friend. Yo, all the friends that came out and said Nolan Wells was their best friend, the follow-up question was, have you met Nolan Wells' mama? And they all said no. These people claim they was Nolan Wells' friend or best friend. Again, they all said best friend, by the way. Now, I don't know how many best friends somebody can have, but they all said Nolan Wells was their best friend. And they said, yo, we've been best friends since like middle school. They've been best friends with Nolan Wells since middle school and never met his mama. Never been to his house. Like, come on, bro. Right? Like, yo, what are we talking about here, bro?
So many pictures, so many text messages of them being closer to Nolan than any other friend group. And also one thing that shocked me was that this was an island, not secluded, not an island with 5 or 6 people on it. It was an island where there was thousands.
Why would that have shocked you? I'm so confused. Like, what type of nonsense are we talking about?
Hundreds of boats. And also,
yeah, it was a July 4th celebration. Nobody thought the island was a secluded island. What are you talking about?
So a lot of people could verify the statements that was made from some of these young men. So I really wish.
No, but the people who could verify the statements was Katie. And Katie literally gave a contradictory statement. Like the statement you heard, Warren told you, yo, we called for Nolan in front of Katie. And then Katie says, oh yeah, I heard them calling for Nolan, but that was the last time I seen Nolan was when they called him over. So Warren is claiming, yo, we was calling for Nolan in front of Katie, but he stayed with Katie. Katie said he didn't stay with me. He went with his friends. Man, bro, y'all got to stop this, bro.
We could have started at a point to say, what happened to Nolan Wells? Let's work together as a community. Let's talk to these young men, talk to other people, and let's find out what happened to Nolan instead of jumping the race.
That's literally what the family did. The family literally said, hey, what happened to Nolan? The father went over to grab Nolan keys. The friends was in a deep sleep, woke him up acting like the father was bothering him or something. Said, I don't know where them keys at. I don't know. Bro, it took one call for a girl to say, bro, the person who told you he don't got Nolan car keys, the keys is on his Xbox. All right? Again, Nolan Wells' mama and daddy have came out and says, yo, this is not about race, but we'll be remiss if we ignore the signs. So everybody has said it's not about race that's speaking for Nolan, but yet Tatum has decided that he's going to wage war against the very family who have said it's not about race. Now listen, man, right? Poetic Flacco, I don't speak for the family. None of the content creators speak for the family. Benjamin Crump and Nolan Wells' parents speak for Nolan Wells. They said it's not about race, but we can't ignore the dynamics here that's at play. So what are you talking about?
Officer Tatum, how do you know that it was misinformation that was put out there? How did you come to the conclusion that something was misinformation? Explain that.
Well,
Is it just
I knew it was,
according to their account or something else?
no. Initially, I knew it was hogwash because when Al Sharpton and them got on TV, they automatically made an inference to say, well, it was something that had to happen because these kids were white. It was one white kids with one black boy. I mean, that there's no evidence.
You're such a liar. You're such a fraud, Tatum. Nobody ever came out and said this must happen because they're white. That's not even a logical statement. This must have happened because they're white. Nobody have ever said that ever. Find me the statement, Tatum. Find me that. Tatum, listen, man. Find me that statement, Tatum, and I will retire as a content creator. Find me the statement where Benjamin Crump or Al Sharpton says this must have happened because the people were white. Are you dumb? You're such a liar and a fraud. Nobody have ever said that. Why are you, these people, bruh, and this is why when you deal with people like Tatum, I hate when y'all go into these discussions with good faith, because these people deal with bad faith. When you're debating with somebody like Tatum, you have to be as bad faith as him. He's a liar.
Black boy.
Nobody's ever said that.
There's no evidence to project that unless you believe every white person is nefarious.
Nobody has ever said that. You just made it up, bruh. Right? How are you compiling on a lie that you made up?
In their dealings with black people. And so I thought that was suspicious on his face. And then they said that Nolan was the only black kid. He was not the only black kid. Many of his black friends were also at the island with him. So, some of those things that started to come out, I knew that they were not.
Nobody ever said that Nolan Walls was the only black kid on the entire island. What we said was, it looks like from his friend group, Nolan Walls was the only black kid. And did we lie? Did we lie when we say Nolan Walls was the only black kid in his friend group? Did we lie? Javon was not a part of that friend group. They told Javon he got to catch the other boat. I mean, come on. I mean, come on now, bruh. All right, come on, bruh. The Uncle Ruckus, who did an interview to be Nolan Walls' other black friend, he sat down with Tatum, and that man says, my black side ain't never been here for me, man. These good white folks have been the only family I've known. Okay, cool. Right? That man was speaking in a southern twang I ain't never heard on a black person. Listen, we know some deep down south black folks. He was speaking in a twang we ain't never heard from black folks in life. So the only quote unquote half or biracial black person identifies as white. And then that person says, outside of me and Nolan, who was, I guess, the only people mixed with black, we had a Mexican and we had an Asian. Man, cut it out, bruh. So we ain't lie when we say Nolan Walls was the only black person in that friend group. We ain't lie. But nobody has ever said that Nolan Walls was the only black person on the island. I'm sure there was about 4 or 5 out of 2,000. So Tatum has this strategy where Tatum will create a lie that he made up. This is a lie that Officer Tatum made up. But now he's about to debunk the lie that he made up. Right? And so Tatum is debating essentially with himself.
Being truthful about what happened.
Charles, your thoughts, your response to what Officer Tatum just said.
I don't necessarily know that the initial statements about Nolan being with some of his white friends is entirely afactual. I also don't know that it is a nefarious statement in as much as these are facts. He was with a number of different white boys or a number of different boys who are white. I think that the problem with what Officer Tatum has just pointed out is that there is an underpinning of race when you're having a conversation about the types of things that happen.
Master Tatum, we sick boss. That's a fact.
Happened to black boys and black people in Mississippi such that it cannot be summarily dismissed. I did not necessarily jump to any conclusion, but the history of what race relations have been in Mississippi and how we have not necessarily been safe has caused me to take a special look at this case. It doesn't mean that I'm accusing anyone of anything. It doesn't mean that I do not believe in finding the process. But at the same time, I am not going to ignore the facts, which you just pointed out. These are facts. He may have been with other black people, but we have seen the pictures. We have seen the photos. There were a number of people who were gathered out there for the July 4th holiday. But Nolan Wells was with three.
Yo, bro, Tatum is so bad faith. Bro, look at Tatum's reaction. Yo, I've never seen a more middle of the road fence sitting position on this particular issue than this dude. This dude gave the most middle of the road fence sitting position, which is, I'm not saying nothing bad happened definitively. What I am saying is there's certain facts that needs to be investigated, and there are certain facts that are concerning. That's like the most middle of the road, can't argue with position ever. That's the position that Tatum is claiming that he's representing. Which is why when you see Tatum's reaction, this face, it tells you Tatum is bad faith, and Tatum is going into this looking to accuse the family, right, through dog whistles, all right, of doing something wrong. Because this brother just gave the most, again, I'm extreme. He's not as extreme as me. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? But he's not as extreme as most of us. He's just not, all right? He's not as extreme as the most of us. He's just not, okay? He's not. But for Tatum to have a problem with this middle of the road, fence-sitting, indisputable, can't really argue with opinion, already tells you Tatum is actually the extremist in the situation. Tatum is actually the one who's grifting in the situation. He's the one that's looking to assign blame to Nolan Wells' family and friends, which is just nasty.
Boys who happen to be white. Those are facts.
Man, come on, man.
He was with, but the thing is that it's facts without context. He was with more than just 3 white boys. That's the problem. There was over 20, 30 kids that got on 3 boats, and they all went to the island together. They didn't just travel with Nolan and just these 3 boys.
He was on 3 boats with 30 people. 2 of them, no. One of them was Nolan Wells, who was black. They claimed Javon was on the 3rd boat. Javon's a black kid. Cool. So it was 2, maybe 3 black kids on a boat with 30. Okay, cool. There was 30 white kids on a boat. What are we talking? How does that make it better?
Warren wasn't even on the boat with Nolan when Nolan went out to the island. So some of those things were mischaracterizations of what actually.
I'm sorry I keep pausing. Again, disingenuous here, Tatum. Let's rewind it back real quick. And you're about to see how disingenuous and how much of a bad faith liar Tatum is. Watch this.
They didn't just travel with Nolan and just these 3 boys. Many of the boys that they're accusing, including Warren, wasn't even on the boat with Nolan.
You see, many of the boys they are accusing wasn't even on the boat. When we heard the audio, in fact, forget the audio. When Warren sat in front of Officer Tatum, what did Warren say? Oh, I was on Wyatt's boat on the way back. One of my friends in front of me was calling Nolan over to get on the boat. Didn't Warren say that he was on the boat that Nolan was supposed to get on when they was going back? Right. See, so Tatum was saying, hey, Warren didn't go on the boat with Nolan to the island, but leaves out Warren was on the boat that Nolan was supposed to get on the way back. Where you listen to the audio where they're saying, oh my God, Nolan, is he dead? Is he dead? You also hear them saying, Warren. Right? So again, this bad faith, disgusting liar will tell you, hey, man, Warren was not on the boat to the island. They out here including Warren in the situation for no reason, but neglect to tell you that Warren admits to Tatum's face that he was supposed to be on the boat, or no, he was on the boat with Wyatt, the very same boat that Nolan was supposed to be on the way back. In the audio, the emergency call, they're literally screaming, Warren. Warren admits to Tatum he hopped on the boat and he was helping to fix the pump as well. So again, he's bad faith. He will lie to your face if he has to, which is why I hate when y'all do these debates and y'all try to be principled. These people are not principled. These people are liars. Right? If you got to be bad faith to slay a bad faither, be bad faith as well. You see how he conveniently leaves out that Warren told him to his face that he was on the boat that Nolan was supposed to get on their way back to on their way back home. The audio, you hear them screaming Warren's name. Man, come on, bro.
Island. So some of those things were mischaracterized.
Yo, it does not matter if the audio came out after this debate. Warren told Tatum to his face, I hopped on Wyeth's boat and I was helping fix the pump. I was there when we was calling Nolan over to come on a boat. Nolan stayed with Katie. Katie says, no, Nolan went with them. So according to Katie, Nolan went on the boat that Warren claimed he was on. So it doesn't matter if that audio came out afterwards. He told Tatum to his face. Tatum conveniently leaves it out because Tatum is a bad faith liar. Tatum is a fraud.
Characterizations of what actually happened. And the thing is that I don't think it's fair to say because history has shown in part that white people or black people have had injustices that all of a sudden you project that into a new situation. Black people have done nefarious things to other black people. Does that mean that you automatically jump to saying, oh, black people must be wrong in this situation? You know, because he had his black friends there too. And why nobody's questioning them? Why nobody's saying, why didn't the black friends rescue him? What did the black kids know about Nolan? And many of them said that they saw him last when the white boys had left at 4:30. So
Wait, didn't a black friend sit in front of Tatum? Wait, hold on, bro. Didn't a black friend sit in front of Tatum and tell Tatum that he's been getting death threats? That he's been getting blamed? Didn't he tell you that I came out to defend these white folks as a black man thinking that black folks will support me, but black folks told me that I'm not black enough? That black folks are also on my tail? So one of the black friends sat in front of you and told you to your face that he's getting the same backlash his white friends is getting, but now you're saying we picking and choosing. All right, bro. Tatum, yo, at this point, bro, I don't know why y'all keep on platforming this man, bro. He's a fraud.
I just think that the race should never be interjected. Nolan's friends told me, and they proved to me that they were really close to him and they were some of his best friends. They said Nolan would have been incredibly upset at the way people are framing his death and going after his friends with no evidence.
Well, here's the
Officer
thing.
Tatum, hold on, Charles. I would say this to you, Officer Tatum. I get where you're coming from. And by the way, I appreciate the context and I appreciate the reporting on your part because numerous reports that I had read was talking about how he was the only black kid there. He was a black kid with a few white boys. And you articulating that fact is very, very important. I think that's important and fair to point out.
Watch that back,
but
though.
what do you say to folks that will ask this kind of a question? He's on a boat. He's on an island. And according to numerous reports, he talked about staying behind and traveling back with a different set of company. Yet his car keys and his phone was left on a boat that he had traveled to those guys with. So what teenager do you know is saying he's staying someplace, but he's going to leave his car keys and his phone on the boat with the guys that he arrived at the island with? That does seem a bit suspicious, particularly when the guy's mother, Nolan Wells' mother, had to use some app to locate the phone.
And remember when Tatum interviewed the friend, right? He talked about everything up until why in the hell would he leave his phone behind? So he talked about, well, he left his phone on the boat because the water was waist deep and he ain't want his phone to be wet. So he left the phone on the boat, but he doesn't talk about how y'all claim y'all was calling Nolan over and Nolan says, nah, I'm staying. But Nolan at no point said, hey, I'm staying on the island. Give me my phone, please. Now, Tatum is shaking his head as if Stephen Smith is saying anything that's that's not reasonable.
These are reports. I'm not pretending to know, Officer Tatum. These are what the report said. What do you say to that?
And this is where I feel like Benjamin Crump and them should be sued for them putting out this information without facts. Let me point the facts out. Sure. Without context, it sounds bizarre. But when you put it in the context that a lot of people left their phones on the boat that left. Many kids came to get their phone after they left the lake. Nolan was with a girl. It's not shocking that Nolan would have said, hey, man, you guys had to leave because they had to leave in an emergency situation.
What does Nolan being with a girl have to do with him leaving his phone behind? He was with a girl on the island. If y'all are leaving, hey, bro, give me my phone when y'all leave. Why would he elect to stay on the island and then pick up his phone 4 hours later? Why? Why wouldn't he just hold on to his phone and then put it on another boat if you claim there were other boats there that Nolan was going to take back home?
It wasn't like they had time to prep and everything. The boat was sinking, so they had to go. And they told Nolan, get on the boat, get on the effing boat, man, let's go. And he like, nah, I'm finna hang out with this girl. I saw evidence of that, and others who had sent messages that I read that said that they asked Nolan to go and he didn't want to go. Now,
no, the message he's talking about is with Katie. When Katie says, the last time I seen Nolan was when y'all was calling him over. And that directly contradicts what they claim. If they claim that Nolan stayed with Katie on the island, then Katie last time seeing Nolan wouldn't be when the friends was calling him over. That indicates that Nolan went with the friends if the last time Katie seen him was when the friends was calling him over.
a lot of people left their phones on the boats because they're sitting in chest deep water, and it's a bunch of people out there. The reception is not very good, so most people did not have their phone with them. Now, the phone and the key situation, people need to understand the context.
Man, that reception was awfully good when they made that emergency call. That reception was awfully fine and awfully great when they made that emergency call to get them help with the boat. Nah, hold on, bro. Hold on now. That reception was awfully fine. That reception was crisp when they made that emergency call on the boat that we heard. Tatum, nothing Tatum is saying makes sense here. No, bro. No, you're not saying, hey, I'm going to stay on this island with a girl who, by the way, I just met, who number I don't have yet. Don't pass me my phone so I could get her number. Don't pass me my phone so I could be in possession of it. Now, again, it makes sense why he wanted his phone on the boat while they're on an island. But if they are leaving, why in the world would he want, what? Cool. If he would have taken a boat back, what would he have done once he landed? Once he got to the mainland, what would he have done now to get a ride home if his phone isn't in his hand? How would he have contacted them to get his phone if his phone is not? It makes no sense. It makes sense why the phone is on the boat while he's in water. But once you're leaving, give me my phone. That right there is the natural, logical. Give me my phone. Man, cut it out, bruh.
His keys with him because they were on a boat driving 7 miles out to an island. His keys had always been at the residence where his car was. So when the guys go back, they text Nolan's mother. This is where it ticks me off. They showed me a phone call where immediately the first phone call that was made concerning Nolan was Warren called Nolan's mom, and she hung up the phone on him the first time because she didn't know who he was. The second call, he told her, hey, Nolan haven't come back. Do you know, have you heard from him?
Okay, that debunks the best friend theory because Nolan is your best friend and his mom don't even know your name or voice. Cut it out. Okay. And secondly as well, if you leave your homie on the island, right? And you leave your homie at the function and you go home, and you don't hear from your homie in an hour or two, would you automatically go to panic mode, calling Coast Guards, calling authorities, calling the mom? Would you automatically go into panic mode? Most of us won't really think anything of it. Unless you know that something nefarious took place at that island. Unless you know, hey, bruh, Nolan is not good. Nolan is doing very bad right now. We left that dead body at the island. Hey, mama, you should probably be tapping in right now. If you leave your homie at the function and you home chilling, are you automatically in frantic mode an hour afterwards? Or is that something you don't even think of?
And then they called the Coast Guard. So his mother was very much aware that they had Nolan's phone. His mother did not have to track the phone through Life 360. His mother didn't come get the phone. Another parent of a black kid who was out there with Nolan came to get her son's phone and Nolan's phone. So why didn't Al Sharpton or any of them Ask these boys what happened, have them show evidence, and then present it to the public.
They did a 3-hour interview with you that was about 6 parts long, and nothing they presented to you is evidence or useful in this case. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And this theory and this nonsense that you believe that Nolan parents, they didn't ask the friend what they know the night Nolan went missing, you're out of your mind. Of course they asked of course they asked them. Of course they did. What are you talking about? You think that when Nolan disappeared and when the parents was trying to locate Nolan, they didn't ask the friend, hey, what happened? What do y'all know? You think, Tatum, that you are the only person who asked these kids, what do y'all know? You think the mama who's online begging for any answer she could get never had a conversation with the friend to get what they know? The mama received what the friends told her. She's just saying it doesn't make sense and something is very off about this picture. That's what they're saying.
Trying to find out what happened to Nolan.
Do you know? Hold on, Charles. Do you know whether or not Al Sharpton and those guys had asked to talk to the kids, and the kids refused to talk to them? Do you know
No,
whether
they
there's
told
any
me
truth to that?
They told me that they haven't heard anything from Al Sharpton or anybody that tried to contact them. This is what they told.
But the parents already talked to him, and the parents already have their statements already. The parents told Al Sharpton and Ben Crump, this is what they told us. What further? Listen, bro, we're not about to have 3, 4, 5, 6 discussions so y'all could tell us the exact same thing y'all told us night one. What is there to be talked about? Y'all already told us.
Just where y'all parents had communicated and reached out to Benjamin Crump, his team, and said, we would love to communicate with you guys. Any questions you have, we want to talk to you guys so you can get the context. Also, they messaged Nolan's mother multiple times about communicating and saying, hey, if you need anything, if you want to talk, we can give you the context of what happened. And nobody reached out to these boys. And I saw evidence of this, which is what frustrated me about this in the first place.
Charles, floor is yours.
So here's the thing, Officer Tatum, we're not going to litigate the facts on here from one side of someone who's had an opportunity to talk to a sample size of people who were involved in this investigation. You and I know just as well that the real issue here is that the people who conducted the investigation, i.e. the Mississippi Sheriff's Department, who've talked to over 60 witnesses in this case, have not yet presented that case or their findings to a grand jury, and they've been extremely tight-lipped with respect to what they have found and what it is that they know. Where I'm going with this is, regardless of who you may have spoke to, who Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton may have spoken to, what information they have had, we are all trying to piece this together. And so it is equally as unfair to present a certain set of facts as if this is the final context of things, when in reality, we don't know. What I will say about the overall situation is that for me, as a civil rights attorney, I am looking at this and I am saying that there needs to be a greater sense of transparency from the Sheriff's Department, because they are the ones who have spoken to most of the parties who have been involved in this case. They've conducted over 60 witness interviews. They've done the toxicology report. They have the autopsy. So these are the people who are truly equipped from an information place to give the public the most accurate picture. So I am not calling what you're putting out misinformation, but what I am saying is that that is just an equally biased and slanted point of view in the opposite way, because it lacks the full context. So because of that, let me finish. It's disingenuous intellectually, number one, to dismiss the notion of race, because that is choosing to ignore the history in America that we have faced. Number two, it's equally disingenuous to play a whataboutism to try and substitute the notion of black on black crime, which is a complete misnomer as to why we should not focus, or at least note, I won't even say focus, at least note the color issues that are at play with respect to what could or might have happened to.
Man, cook this fool. He's getting cooked, man. He's cooked. Tatum is being disingenuous too, because he's ignoring the aspect of the investigation, right? See, the federal prosecutor, he didn't feed into Tatum's trap of trying to discuss who killed Nolan. He didn't feed into that, right? which is probably smart because I would have taken the bait, all right? I would have brought up the call. I would have taken the bait. I would have taken that bait, bro. I would have went into that conversation about who killed Nolan, but he's a federal prosecutor. So he didn't take the bait. He didn't get into, yo, these kids did it. What he did say was the race issue and the race component comes in during the investigation. And that's something I don't think you can argue with here, all right? You can't really argue with it here, bro, all right? Yo, again, the only like bad faith response here would be prove it, which I would imagine that's what Tatum is about to get to. Prove it. Because, yo, you can't really dispute it. And history will tell you, yo, when a black child dies, they treat it a little differently. There's not an urgency we're seeing here, bro. Nolan Wells dying again gets treated a little differently than if Nolan Wells' friends would have died. Because these folks came out and within the first day says, we did not see any signs of foul play. This was not a foul play. He drowned accidentally. They was ready to pack up this investigation and send it off with the other inexplicable black deaths. And he's saying if Nolan Wells was white, there will be a certain level of urgency from the investigators that we aren't seeing here. If Nolan Wells' name was Warren and his mama was actually called a judge within Ocean Springs, we'll be seeing a different level of urgency, okay? So you can't really dispute that, right? What you can't say and be bad faith is prove it. Cool, you can, cool, do that, right? Play that bad faith game. But the problem about the bad faith game is, yo, people see right through it. People see right through this act. This is a fact.
Accusatory. And it's just as disingenuous for you to go further and say, well, we must assume, or it seems like Crump and Sharpton and everyone else was projecting the notion of race. That may have been your interpretation, which I cannot necessarily argue with. But it is just as problematic for you to suggest the polar opposite of that when none of us
killed as a fact
have conducted this full investigation. You have a limited sample size. I have a limited sample size. The public has been wrought with misinformation. So for me, the real issue here is a lack of transparency from the sheriff's office to give the public a complete picture.
Well, let me tell you why I disagree with you fully. As a former police officer, and I was a PIO, I dealt with all of these things. The police department is not an injustice when you say there's a lack of communication or transparency. The police department cannot put this information out there when you still have suspects at large. If they go and release some of this information and show their hands of what they know and don't.
Suspects at large is crazy when y'all came out and says there was no foul play. So what are the, right? No, we are expecting for y'all to say, okay, here's why there's no foul play. Look at this, all right? So what do you mean it's like suspects at large? Y'all came out and said day one, there's no foul play here. So now the excuse of not being transparent is there's suspects. Who are the suspects then? What do you mean by suspects at large? Who are the suspects? So y'all, okay, so y'all know better too. So y'all know there are suspects. Y'all know there are people who are involved in Nolan's death. Y'all know Nolan's death was not accidental. Y'all know this, right? Oh, gotcha. So y'all know while at the same time accusing the family of being crazy. So y'all know, okay, great. Thank you for admitting there are suspects at large, huh? So when it's time, you see, bro, y'all cannot have your cake and eat it too. When it's time to avoid accountability and transparency, there are suspects at large here. While simultaneously telling us there was no foul play. Man, y'all are disgusting.
Don't know, then potential suspects will begin to destroy evidence. They'll start hiding. They'll start cleaning stuff. You don't want to give that information out to the public until you know for a fact that you've been able to communicate with every suspect.
Ain't that something that's a fact, Tanya?
If you start putting out the autopsy prematurely, and it shows blunt force to the head, strangulation to the neck, then the people who have done this are going to make sure they hide the murder weapon. They're going to make sure they get their stories together and say, no, I didn't hit him in the back of the head. You don't want to project those things too prematurely. So there's no issue with transparency. And I'll say this: the reason that I'm talking about Al Sharpton and them is because the first thing that they said was that he was there with white boys, therefore there had to been something. And then it goes back historically. Some of them compared this to the young man.
I've heard very different messages from them when they have said we cannot assume that this is racist. But we can.
Now, come on, Tatum. You can come on. Yo, listen, man. We are having raccoon meat for dinner, man. We is having roasted raccoon meat for dinner, people. People, can anybody prepare the raccoon meat? Huh? Hey, man, shout out to Tank Talks TV, man, for rating the live stream, man. Shout out to Tank Talks, man. I appreciate you, bro. So first, we having fried raccoon meat for dinner. Come on, Tatum. Come on. Come on, man. Hold on. This brother cooking you, Tatum. Tatum, you drowning right now, Tatum. You picked the right one. See, this is the audacity of these people, bruh. Right? Yo, these far-right extremists who do, again, the most lowbrow content possible. Their content essentially saying black folks is bad, black folks is responsible for all their downfall, and they make nothing but content about disparaging black folks. This is their content. This is what they do. But now when you get in front of somebody who's middle of the road, who's not an extremist, you can't play. You now got to actually use your intellect and can win. When you don't have one, you get fried like this, man. Oh, the fried raccoon meat right now is on the grill, people. We fried it and we grilling it. Oh, my God. So Tatum has a problem with people saying the facts of the case, right? The facts of the case, I'm confused. Right, yo, again, ain't the facts of the case there was white kids who was on the boat? Ain't that the fact? I'm so confused here, bruh. Don't y'all tell us facts don't care about our feelings? Don't y'all tell us, hey, listen, man, don't ask for contracts for black-on-black stats. Don't ask for contracts on the statistics y'all use to vilify black people because the stats are the stats. So the facts are the facts, right? Nolan Wells was on a boat with the majority of white friends. Nolan Wells was probably one of two, maybe one of three black kids on an island of 2,000 people. Aren't that the facts? So now when we state the facts, y'all got an issue with it. The facts with no accusations. Nolan Wells went to the island with the majority of a white friend group, and he was found dead after the white friends came back untouched. Why do you have a problem with the facts being stated, Tatum? Man, cook this guy,
white
man.
boys.
Cook him,
Therefore,
man.
there had to been something. And
Cook
then it
him.
goes back historically. Some of them compared this to the young man.
I've heard very different messages from them when they have said we cannot assume that this is racist.
But
we cannot assume that it wasn't. So I'm going to correct you there.
Let me jump in here.
Who's that, Charles? Hold on. Charles, who said that? Who said that?
Literally during his eulogy, Al Sharpton said, we cannot assume that this was racist. And he said, we can also not assume that it wasn't.
Take your time. Take your time. Hold on, guys. Take your time. Ain't nothing.
Yo, you know somebody being fried with the nah, man, take that, man. Bro, take that bet. What you mean? No. Nah, let this brother cook, man. Shout out, Charles. Charles is frying the raccoon meat. Oh my God.
Getting edited out.
Don't worry about it.
Oh my God.
Trust me. All of it is. I'm not editing a damn thing. Go ahead, Officer Tatum. Floor is yours.
Well, let me interject. When you are looking for justice for your child in a criminal case, meaning that somebody committed a crime against your child, why do you go out and get a civil rights attorney? These Benjamin Crump and them are known for going after these cases specifically in injustices against black.
That's such a dumb take.
Let me
Officer Tatum, let me try it first.
Okay,
go ahead.
Stephen.
No, that's fair. No, that's fair, Charles. Go ahead.
I'm a former prosecutor.
Okay,
I'm a civil rights attorney.
Speak on it.
Please understand how these things work.
Speak on it.
At the end of the day, when you're talking about quote unquote justice, the first reason why you get someone like Benjamin Crump is because he's a person who has experience with wrongful death lawsuits.
Black people.
So it's not about black people. No,
it is. Benjamin don't represent white people.
Please talk about that is completely false. That is completely false.
When was the last case he represented?
Bro, there was a literal white kid that was shot by a police officer, right? That Benjamin Crump, like, he organized a march for that kid. Bro, Tatum, you're just a liar. But here's the thing, bro. I'm so mad they didn't like hone in on Tatum lying. Tatum lied on like Al Sharpton. He lied on Al Sharpton. He said that Al Sharpton made it about race when Al Sharpton said we cannot assume is racist. He lied on Crump. See, Tatum is resorting to lies, and he's drowning when you're in front of somebody who knows what they're talking about, right? All the white supremacist talking points, all the placating to the dominant society, that's not working here. It's just not. It's just not. It's just not. And Yo Gunny says he finna prove Tatum point. No, fam, first off is this. You hire a civil rights attorney to make sure your rights are not being violated, to make sure that Nolan Wells gets his opportunity for justice. As simple as that, bruh, right? You hire a spokesperson who has experience in speaking to the masses to make sure the pressure is put on the DA to get the answers that we want. Also, Benjamin Crump comes with a full team. On that team are other attorneys who are civil rights attorneys. These are experienced prosecutors. These are experienced defense attorneys. These are people, for the most part, who knows how to get the work done. When you watch the press conference Benjamin Crump has, you have prosecutors, ex-prosecutors, ex-defense attorneys. You had that Asian lady who's not a civil rights attorney. She's a defense attorney. You got the Mexican dude who's an ex-prosecutor. So it comes with a full team who knows what they're doing. That's why Benjamin Crump is involved here.
I'm not here to do your research for you.
No, you're the one saying it. I'm telling you it didn't happen.
But Benjamin Crump has a long-standing career of supporting people of all races and ethnicities when it comes to the violation of their civil rights.
Give me one.
As well as personal injury. So please let me answer your question.
Go ahead.
The reason why you get a civil rights attorney is because, number one, Benjamin Crump has extensive experience when it comes to wrongful death suits. Number two, in this situation, it is possible that there may be an element that Nolan Wells' civil rights were violated and that something may have happened to him because of his color, which is why you get a civil rights attorney. A civil rights attorney. And so that is the answer to your question.
It's about color.
As a former prosecutor, you let the police and the sheriff's office deal with the notion of criminality, because that is.
Wait, bro. Do Tatum has an intellectual disability?
One thing that Benjamin Crump can't do anything about.
Well, let's say this, brother. Can I jump in here?
That's why you go get someone like Benjamin Crump.
Why wouldn't the kids get civil rights? Like, for instance, people were saying, why did these kids lawyer up? Well, first of all, many of them didn't even have a lawyer. They went and talked to investigators and did a lie detector test equivalent with no lawyers. Okay, but anyway, would you think it would be weird if these kids went out and got a civil rights attorney?
What? Wait, pause. Why would, do Tatum have an intellectual disability, bro? I'll be real, I'm starting to feel bad, man. Listen, bro, I'm starting to feel bad for Tatum, bro. Yo, this level of belt to behind seems cruel. Why would children who are not victims of crimes, why would they get a civil rights attorney? Why would the white kids get bro, listen, man. Listen here, bro. Yo, Tatum, bro. Yo, give it up, homie. Give it up, yo. I'll be real, yo. Tatum handlers, they gotta reduce his monthly allowance after this, man. Right? Yo, because they bring people like Tatum in, right, to be intellectually dishonest, to bad face their way to winning these like debates. But Tatum, you getting fried, bro. This is
Civil
terrible.
rights attorney?
You getting fried, Tatum.
Why would they have a civil rights attorney? They're not being accused of anything.
They are being accused. They are being accused.
Who's accused them?
They accused.
Who has accused
Al
them?
Sharpton. Benjamin Crump.
Show me where Al Sharpton has accused them of something.
All right,
as opposed to saying
this is what they said.
Suspicious.
Nah, Tatum, show the facts, bro. You see what I mean by you? Yo, he just lies. He just makes it up. Yo, Tatum is what? He's about 45 seconds from agreeing with this dude that Al Sharpton said, yo, this is not about racism. We cannot say it's about racism with no proof. He's 45 seconds out from agreeing to that, and now he's bringing it back to lie on Al Sharpton again. Man, Tatum, you should be embarrassed.
Accuse them of something.
All right,
as opposed to saying,
this is what they said.
Suspicious. Show
This
me
is what
where
they said. No. They said they put these boys' pictures out on the internet and said he went out, and they framed it as he went out just with them, and something happened, and we know something happened, and they.
Yo, Tatum, you sound manic right now, bro. Yo, Tatum, you sound manic, bro. They put out, bro, the mama posted pictures when Nolan disappeared. The mama posted pictures of Nolan on the island with people and said, yo, these were the people my son was with. Can you have them reach out to me? The mama posted pictures of Nolan on the island and said, yo, this is what Nolan was wearing. If anybody have seen him, please reach out to me. What are you, they never said, here's the picture of who Nolan was with. These are the people who killed Nolan. You are drowning right now. You sound manic, bro. The mama posted pictures to find her son, who at the time was missing. Tatum, oh my God.
Hiding phones and doing all this.
Oh my God. Again, the mama never said that. The family never said that. Now, the YouTubers like myself, the content creators, we've probably said something very similar. But you can't like put our actions on the mama. What are you talking about, bro? The family, right? Again, the family do not answers for the content creators in our content at all. The family have never accused those kids. Never. Ever.
And we know something happened, and why they hiding phones and doing all this? He's accusing them before any evidence is presented.
That's not an accusation. That is
an accusation.
But
Charles,
a statement of suspicion. That's not an accusation.
Charles, hold on. Charles, let me chime in here. A statement of suspicion, some people would say, is an accusation. I understand from the legal, literal sense what you're saying. But talking amongst ourselves right now, when you say a statement of suspicion is not an accusation, that's not how people interpret a statement of suspicion. When you make a statement of suspicion, you're making an accusation. I mean, can we at least concede that, Charles?
What I will say in response to that, Stephen A., is to whatever extent there may have been statements of suspicion that were interpreted in that manner given early on, I think
don't concede
the record has been clear leading up to and during Nolan Wells' funeral that A, we don't know what happened, B, we won't rule anything out, and C, with respect to ruling anything out or not ruling anything out, we are not saying that this absolutely happened, but we are not saying that we are resting until we get answers.
Can I show you where this becomes biased?
Officer Tatum, let me come at you with this. What's wrong? There's a kid now. Okay, granted, you did your homework. You went out there and you actually talked to several of his friends. Props to you for that. But the bottom line is, this kid Nolan Wells is dead, and he was the only one that was dead. What's wrong with, again, in the state of Mississippi, not just with white boys. There were some dudes there as well, but he had other people there. He was the one that did not come home alive. Again, without an official accusation, raising, what's wrong with having your suspicions raised and saying, listen, we need some damn answers. Something ain't right. He was a healthy young 18-year-old and he didn't come home alive. How'd that happen? What's wrong with that?
Now, if they had context and all the information and then they led with that, I would have no problem with it. But let me tell you this right now, Stephen.
Nah, you see, remember like before this video started when y'all told me, oh no, Flacco, Tatum said that they might have been something. No. Tatum have seen all the evidence and he's still refusing to commit to something bad might have happened and an investigation is needed. It's simple as that. But instead, Tatum is resorting to spending the last week and a half vilifying the family in Al Sharpton. And we've seen during this interview, Tatum is willing to just outright lie. Now, here's the thing. If Tatum was not sitting in front of somebody who knew the facts, he would have been able to parade this lie unchecked, right? Tatum is so bad faith, he will get checked and get debunked, right? And get exposed during a debate like this and be given the facts, and Tatum will go back on his channel. I guarantee you, he'll go back on his channel and continue to lie on Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump, even after hearing Al Sharpton say, it's not about racism, we cannot confirm that. I'm telling you guys right now, bro, pretend it was a fraud.
Right now, if a white boy was on an island with his black friends, all black, and some white folks put on a camera that something must be suspicious because the one white boy is with all these black dudes and something may have happened. We know that people covering it up and everything because these kids black. Man, we'd be pissed off on that. Ain't no way in the world I'd accept somebody saying, you gonna blame these black boys for doing something to this kid because they black? That's insane.
Yo, Tatum have lost his mind. Yo, these people, again, they are not rooted in principle and integrity. They don't have any foundation for their moral principles and code. They just don't, right? Right? Their moral compass doesn't have any type of, they are not morally intact. That statement from Tatum is laughable, it's blasphemous, because Tatum is the same dude who support a guy, right? Who falsely accused 5 innocent black kids of raping and murdering somebody when it wasn't true. The exonerated 5. Tatum still supports that guy. That's his president, right? Charlie Kirk believed that the exonerated 5 was guilty. Charlie Kirk, to his death, called them guilty. Tatum and his homies, his right-wing homies, they believe the exonerated 5 is still guilty. And they continue to call them guilty to this day, even though the exonerated 5 was proven to be not guilty, right? They didn't do a goddamn thing. So hold on, bruh. So hold on, bruh. All right? So 5 innocent black men was accused of a grape in Central Park. And they was proven to be innocent. But white folks continue to call them guilty. Yo, homies, and we ain't never seen you, Tatum, say, yo, you know what, yo? Hey, bro, the Central Park 5 was exonerated. They ain't do it. They not guilty. Y'all stop this. Y'all stop this now. No. No, you ain't never done that. But now you want to use the example of, man, what would y'all say if these black kids, if these 4 black kids, was being accused of? We've already seen it, Tatum, and you ain't say a goddamn thing. As a matter of fact, you support the false accusations of the Central Park 5. You support it. So don't get to the high and mighty stuff now, bro. Man, bro, cut it out, bro.
This kid, because they black? That's insane. And that's what happened in this situation.
If a white boy had been on that boat with 3 black boys, we would have seen it very different.
Where's your evidence?
Yo, what I tell y'all? Yo, remember I told y'all about 20 minutes ago, Tatum is going to resort to the most bad faith response, which is, what's your evidence? What's the proof? Man, listen, bro, my experience is the proof. History is the proof. History. A bunch of grown men came and got Emmett Till in the middle of the night, murdered him and got off. That's my proof right there.
Give me a case.
History.
No history. You can say history can tell us everything.
Emmett Till, that's my proof.
We would have seen a very different.
Give me an example
of the Central Park, the exonerated 5.
Well, first of all, 5 of them didn't go to prison. It was Central Park 5. Only 4 of them went to prison.
It was actually 6 of them, and 5 of them went to prison. And I'm not.
And let me tell you how they went to prison.
I'm not going to quibble with you.
You won't give context.
One at a time, guys. One at a time.
Now, wait, hold on. Now let's give context, right? So, whoa, hold on, Tatum. So we're being presented, all right, with you asked for. He gave you an example, all right. 6 black kids was accused of doing something they didn't do, and they went to prison for it. They were exonerated, Tatum. Instead of you saying, yo, bro, the system failed, you're now about to provide the false context of literal children being manipulated by seasoned detectives at like 13 or 14 years old. You're about to say these kids that was coerced into a confession by seasoned detectives without their parents being there, without legal representation being there. You're now about to use racist detectives owning in on innocent kids and coercing them into a confession as the context as to how this situation right here is different. Put Warren as a 13-year-old in an interrogation room without his mama with seasoned detectives. I can guarantee you a confession will be had within 30 minutes. As simple as that.
You asked for an example. I'm not going to quibble with you and say, well, they're called the exonerated 5 and only 4 went. I'm not going to do that. The exonerated 5. You wanted an example, I gave you an example.
That's not an equivalent example.
And there are other examles throughout history, starting with Emmett Till and
Emmett
going throughout
Till?
Are
you comparing this to Emmett Till?
You asked me.
No. Are you saying that this is equivalent to Emmett Till?
You asked me for an example.
So you're saying that it's equivalent?
Where if reversed?
Okay. I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm telling you. I'm giving you examples. What I'm telling you is that if the situation were reversed, we would have seen a very different investigation from law enforcement from the actual outset.
Let me interject.
We as a people, when it comes as a former prosecutor, because here's the thing, you're a former police officer, and that's fine. But when it comes to after arrests are made and how prosecutions are going, that's my space. That's my lane. So I'm going to speak from my lane. And what I can tell you is we do not typically enjoy the benefit of the doubt when it comes to probable cause.
That's not true.
I'm telling you as a former prosecutor, I'm not going to tell you what it's like to be
arrest people and I deal with prosecutors.
Yo, can you imagine? Yo, I'll be real, bro. Yo, can you imagine being an innocent black man having the displeasure of an encounter with Officer Tatum when he was a police officer? Yo, can you imagine being an innocent brother being pulled over by Officer Tatum? Dog, I'll be real, bro. That's a scary sight, homie. That's a scary sight, bro. Being an innocent black man having an encounter with Officer Tatum when he was on patrol. Nah, son, dog. Yo, if this is your opinion of black folks, can you imagine Tatum? My God,
I'm telling you as a former prosecutor, I'm not going to tell you what it's like to be
arrest people and I deal with prosecutors.
I'm not going to tell you what it is to be a police officer.
I have to interview with the prosecutors every time there's an arrest.
Officer,
we have to go to trial.
I'm not.
Well, he's not saying that you don't know. Hold on. He's not saying that you don't know Officer Tatum. What he's saying is from his perspective as a prosecutor, this is what he's bringing up. Now, I granted, I don't blame Officer Tatum. I don't blame Officer Tatum from bringing up, when, acting incredulous when he says, you would say Emmett Till, that's 1955. Al Sharpton brought up Medgar Evers at the funeral, that's 1963. So if Officer Tatum's going to look at it and say, that's what you're bringing up, I get where he's coming from in terms of the distance between then and now. But I also get where you're coming from, Charles Coleman Jr., when you highlight, listen, from an historical perspective, we're talking about, we've seen things like this before.
Boy,
and those are just names that we know. There's a plethora of names that we may not have known that have transpired throughout history that have suffered some of these maladies, and we get that part too. Go ahead, Officer Tatum, floor is yours.
But what I'm saying is that you cannot project that. It's unfair to project that. You can have it in your subconscious that there has been things that have been done wrong, but you got to treat these things fairly. You cannot go out and project that somehow the sheriff is a racist and he's not going to do right by these boys. That's not right. Let the investigation ensue. And then if you see impropriety in the investigation, then you can project that. But listen, they interviewed you just said they interviewed 60 people. They interviewed all these boys the day of. Like, what did they do wrong? They did an autopsy.
Officer Tatum, respectfully, what about those who would say the same or would ask the same question about you? Are you being fair? Because just like you have people out there that are elevating their level of suspicion and jumping to some sort of conclusion attached to guilt as it pertains to the death of Nolan Wells, you're coming across as somebody who's assuming these individuals that were in attendance with him were innocent because of your conversations with them, as opposed to not getting the full context the way Charles Coleman Jr. just highlighted.
No, yeah, I accept people saying that, but let me tell you that I saw proof. I'm not just taking somebody's account.
Yo, Tatum's, watch this, yo. I'm about to show y'all how dangerous Tatum is, okay? Yo, have y'all seen Tatum's coverage on Cyan Massey? Yo, listen, yo, Tatum, wait, 1 second. Bro, Tatum tap danced Cyan Massey so crazy that he had to apologize. Yo, do you understand how bad you gotta be when the racist white folks who follow you, when they say, hey, bro, Tatum, you went, yo, watch this, yo. Yo, Tatum watched a black woman get shot and killed in her own kitchen because she had water in her hands. And Tatum says the shooting was justified. Watch this real quick. Watch this. Yo, listen, I'm about to show y'all how dangerous Officer Tatum is real quick. And then we'll be back. Fam, okay? And we'll go back. And we'll go back to that, okay? So look, and we'll go back to the interview real quick. Okay. So look at the thumbnail. Look at the thumbnail of Cyan Massey being shot and killed in her kitchen was justified. Justified. That was the thumbnail. Justified, people. Right? So now look, now watch this. Now here is Tatum. So Tatum is about to justify probably, listen, the most clear-cut, even the white nationalists and the black nationalists, we all came together to say, hey, this is wrong. This is foul. Watch Tatum justify officers shooting and killing a black woman in her kitchen because they told her to take the water off the stove. She had water in her hands and she was shot and killed. The officer got found guilty in a court of law and got 20 years. Watch Tatum make every excuse for these officers. Watch this.
I have to say, I think that this is justified, but it could have been avoided, but still justified.
So Tatum says Cyan Massey's shooting was justified. And this is the man who believes he's the arbitrator, right, of truth and fairness. Dog, Tatum, Tatum, do you understand, bro, how we look? Bro, we look at you as a voice for white supremacy. We look at you as an absolute agent of chaos. Watch this.
I think that this is justified, but it could have been avoided, but still justified. You can't throw boiling water on a police officer and not get shot.
She ain't throw boiling water on. They told her to take it from off the stove. Watch this.
This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com. Get you one of these shirts. Link is in the description section. Discount code will pop up right here. Like this video. Like this video. Like this video. Hit the like button. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, the deputies in Illinois in hot water. No pun intended. It's too soon? Maybe it's too soon. I'm really not trying to make fun of this woman. It's a tragedy when anybody loses their life. I don't care if they're a criminal or not, except for if you abuse kids, then I know you're on your own, Jack. For the most part, I don't care what situation a person is in. It's incredibly sad if a person loses their life. Never do I want to see a law enforcement officer have to take the life of another person, justified or not justified. It doesn't matter. I do not want to see it happen. I wish that we could avoid these things. Now, with that being said, let's talk about this specific situation. Allegedly, and through the documents, and when I say allegedly, because I don't believe none of the news says, and I don't believe the outcome of some of these cases anyway. However, I'll just use the word allegedly. So they responded to a prowler call, which means a person who's lingering or loitering around the property, potentially going in the backyard, searching through stuff. Could be an individual that could be looking to burglarize a facility. They show up to this woman's house, looking around the yard first, and then they make contact with her.
No, first of all, she called them, right? I think that she called them. Yeah, she called them because she had like some type of in suspicion. So the context of them looking around, looking at prowlers, no, she called them. They realized who they were speaking to. The homeowner. The homeowner is who called you. You guys get in the house and murder her. Tatum then makes an excuse for the officers every way. So if Tatum can watch a murder take place on camera and make an excuse for the murder that took place on camera in front of us, where even the racist, the white supremacist, were saying, bro, this is bad. What do you think Tatum is gonna do for a situation like Nolan Wells, where we gotta we gotta grind our teeth to get information? He has the benefit of reasonable doubt. So he's going to support white supremacy any chance he gets. But watch this real quick. Watch Tatum makes an excuse for this.
He is mentally ill, according to the documents, suffer from schizophrenia and probably other mental health issues. Initially, when you watch this video, you're going to see that they were having a cordial conversation, and then it goes south. Benjamin Crump is on the case, so you know it's all BS, in my personal opinion. We would never hear about this case if the woman was white and these officers were white, or if the officers were black and this woman was white. You'd never hear about it whatsoever. The only reason we're hearing about this is because Benjamin Crump is trying to get some money and trying to get a payout. They ended up indicting the police officer that fired the shot, charged him with 3 counts of murder as if he intentionally killed this woman. I'm going to go through the process and tell you specifically why I think that there's room for improvement in tactics. I think that things could have been done differently. Maybe those things would have saved her life, but that has nothing to do with whether, in my opinion, whether an officer is justified or not in this particular instance, in the predicament that they were already in. There's a lot for me to talk about, so I'm gonna just get the video started and I'm gonna go methodically through the video and bring it up. I'm open to somebody disagreeing with me if it's justified or not. I don't think every police involved situation is justified. In this specific situation,
bro, get to the nonsense, Tatum. You talk too much, bro. You clown.
You're ready. One task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
You have that stack right there, maybe.
Okay. 1 second.
Check on her.
Let me get this.
We don't need a fire while we're here.
Right.
Okay. So they said we don't need a fire in here. Maybe she should check on the food, right?
They told her to, again, she's sitting on the couch, people. She's sitting on the couch. They told her to go and turn off the stove. First off, even IDing this woman, bro, why are you IDing her? You came to her house to help her out. If nothing bad is happening, leave. But she's on the couch being cooperative, being nice. You tell her, yo, turn off the stove. Right? So again, she goes to turn off the stove. Watch this.
So she's probably discombobulated, rambling, and doing all these other things. She seems to be someone who's struggling mentally, right? There's training that officers are supposed to undertake to help them mitigate conflict with people who are struggling with mental illness. Because you're mentally ill don't mean you deserve to get killed over something, right? So officers should be trained and adequate enough to deal with a person and keep things calm so they don't have to get into a deadly force situation. They asked her to go and turn that fire off because they didn't want it to catch on fire while they were over there talking to her. And this is what happens next.
Huh?
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Huh?
I rebuke you in the name of
You better talk.
Okay, so now she has the boiling hot water in her hand. It seemed like she poured it out, but I guess she didn't pour it all out. And then she started making statements to them. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
So again, she poured out some of the water because it was overflowing. So she poured it out. If her intentions was to throw the boiling water on the officers, why would she pour it out? Also, look at where they're at. Look at where she's at. You think this woman is able to throw boiling water, like 30 feet? You think she's able to throw boiling water and fatally harm them from where she's at right now? Clearly not, right? And when she says, yo, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, clearly she was onto something. Clearly she knew something that we didn't know because these devils was in her house about to murder her.
Now, as a police officer, you're talking to somebody who's mentally unstable. Now she has a pot of boiling water.
Come on.
In her
Yo,
hand.
hood educated, yes.
And now she's starting to turn.
It's hit on that gun already.
Your antennas will go up. We'll get to some other options here. Your antennas will go up.
Cool, 10 feet.
If somebody's now talking,
You think she's throwing this water 10
in the
feet?
name of Jesus, you become the enemy. They got a pot of boiling water in their hand, and now they're rebuking you in the name of Jesus. The question law enforcement officers should be asking themselves and engaging is that, what is she thinking, and is she going to turn on us? Is this going to turn into an altercation? This woman has boiling water in her hand, and she's rebuking us now.
No, that's where I got shoot your.
Now, this officer here.
Bruh, listen, man. Dumb devils heard, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, while dealing with somebody who they deem is like mentally ill. And the first thing these devils go to, again, not to get out the house, the first thing these devils go to is, I'll shoot you in your face. Huh? Because she told you she'll rebuke you in the name of Jesus?
No, that's where I'll shoot your face.
Okay. Do I agree with the way he articulated what he said?
Come on, Tatum.
I don't like when officers talk
Come
like
on,
that.
Tatum.
Because this is what happens. When you end up shooting somebody, you already look like a deranged fool.
I rebuke you
and look like a
means you get
murderous
shot
thug
and killed.
because you don't have enough respect and decorum and professionalism not to talk like that to people.
This is who we're
You
dealing
may
with,
think
people.
to your mind, I'm gonna shoot you. You better drop it. Have a little bit of respect and know that you got to cover yourself and be professional. So if the thing goes south, you're not on camera saying, I'm going to shoot you in the head. That seems like an exaggerated, like a acceleration of force. He didn't de-escalate anything. He's escalating. Now, this woman shouldn't have this boiling pot in her hand in the first place. She should put it down. Now, this is an unsafe situation. Where do they go from here? So she squats down. He's on gun. I do not have a problem with him being on gun because he's the officer that's closest to her. And this officer is now over here. He don't know if he's on taser or not. In this situation, this is a small house and stuff can start getting active real quick. You're not going to be able to turn your back on her and run out of the door. At this point, you kind of stuck in a position where you need to be keeping your eyes on her because you don't know what she's going to do. Now, I'll point this out. This is why I think that this is more justified than not. We don't know what's in that pot. Do you? Do we?
What? Water? What? So, again, we'll get back to the Nolan Wells thing real quick, okay? I just wanted to show you guys an example of how bad faith this person is. Tatum is justifying officers shooting a woman in her face, killing her, and then calling her a B as she's laying down on the floor lifeless because she had water in her hands.
Maybe now we do. But at the time, this woman is crazy and she's now manipulating this pot. How do we know she don't have acid in this pot or something even more dangerous?
So a woman, so Tatum is saying a woman, had a pot of acid that was uncovered. The lid was open on a pot of acid as it was on the stove burning. So she was cooking acid in her home in a confined space. Now do you understand why we don't listen to Officer Tatum speak on Nolan Wells? Now do you understand why we don't listen to Officer Tatum speak on Nolan Wells?
Okay. Now, officers' tactics is terrible right here. I'm not trying to judge them too harshly because, you know, when the stuff is hitting the fan.
I'm not trying to judge somebody too harshly who just shot and killed a woman. Man, Tatum, go
Back to
come
this
on.
real quick. And where one guy is in front of another. If I was with a standing right here and this is body-worn camera, he's the one in the bigger threat. So he should have gun. He has a vest on. I get how it's getting active right now. So I'm not really trying
get
to go
to the...
Now, headshot, bitch. You're done. You can go get it, but that's a headshot.
Now, they just shot a woman. Yo, bro. Yo, here's how inhumane these devils are. They just shot a woman who had water in her hands. She fell. She's lifeless with nothing in her hands. And instead of rendering aid and trying to save her life, they is standing over her with guns to her, so if she moves, they can shoot her again. This is what he's justifying.
Now, people may interpret this officer as brash and no, he's scared.
Oh, that's what we missed. We missed him calling her a B.
We're gonna see here in a minute.
I'm gonna go get my kit. Now, headshot, bitch. You're done.
Effing bit.
You can go get it, but that's a headshot.
It's a headshot. She's gone. Right? So now look. Now look at the comment sections. Look at the comment section. Okay? Look. Okay? Look at the comment sections. Nah, bro. Retired SWAT officer here. I've dealt with 5150 with knives, machetes, and even a hostage. All of them were alive when we were done. Tatum needs to go sit down on this one. Man, come on, bruh. As a current cop of 11 years, I say hell no to this being justified. Man, come on, bruh. Man, come. Another former officer here. I literally searched his channel and said, let me see how Officer Tatum justifies the officer's actions and vilifies the victim. Bro, he did not disappoint. Officer Tatum is the absolute worst. Come on, bruh. Told y'all he was on. Oh, come on, bro. Fam. So do y'all understand this, bro? When y'all hear Tatum react to like Nolan Wells, don't take nothing Tatum is saying in good faith. Tatum justified a woman being shot and killed on camera because she had water in her hands. Water in her hands, who, by the way, they told her to go get. The officer was sentenced to jail. He's in prison right now because of this. So he clearly was not justified. So when Tatum wants to speak on Nolan Wells, remember what he said about Saya Massey. Straight up.
And I'm not saying that nobody didn't kill Nolan. I'm telling you, the people that they put out on the internet and said these white boys were the only ones with him, and they're getting death threats. While I was out there, somebody sent the suspicious package to one of the boys' houses. They showing up at these boys' houses saying that they killed them. Go look on the internet and look at any these videos. They got the boy pictures up there saying they had something to do with his death. They're claiming they deleting text messages. All of this stuff is incredibly ridiculous. When I went out and I said, show me the proof then. Not just what you say. Show me the proof. And these kids are showing proof. Their lawyers are showing proof that they had nothing to do with this. They have a Life 360 just like Nolan did. Their Life 360 showed that they were not on the island, or at least, you know, the young man that I interviewed, he wasn't even on the island. I saw his Life 360.
I'll be back, people.
I mean,
Okay?
these
I gotta
kids,
go piss.
they shouldn't have done these boys like this. They should let the investigation go and then make their accusations.
So you're highlighting specifically. You're not even saying, like you just said, you're not even saying that Nolan Wells, that some vile act, that he wasn't murdered. You're saying that these boys, those are the ones that are being unfairly scrutinized and villainized by this whole ordeal. That's what you're saying, Officer Tatum. Is that accurate?
Yes, Stephen A. There were black kids there who now getting threats online too for coming out and saying something. But nobody's saying, what did these black kids have anything to do with it? The young girl he was kicking it with, they don't have her name out there. Well, her name is Katie, but I'm not gonna say her full name. I don't want her to get doxxed. They not why nobody talking about her? She said she was the last one. I mean, she at least mentioned that she was with him. The boys showed me text messages from her that she's saying that she was with him. Like, why ain't nobody coming at her?
I've seen, and see, this is where it gets dangerous, right? The importance in this moment is to focus on the integrity of the overall process. And when I say the overall process, I'm referring to the investigation, because I knew that the girl's name was Katie. I don't know her last name, and I knew it because there were people who I was seeing in the comment sections that I had on videos that I had done updating people about the case, who were asking the same questions that you have. People,
but Benjamin Crump isn't.
Please. So here's the thing, which is why when you're trying to, and at the end of the day, listen, you don't know what Benjamin Crump is doing as far as investigating a case. The same way that you talked about, you know, as an investigation, there are certain things that you.
He just talks. Listen, man. Tatum knows nothing. He just talks.
Don't reveal. You don't know what that team of lawyers are doing with respect to trying to ascertain the facts. When it comes to, did they answer you or did they not answer you?
Well, they answered us on the last one and refused to respond to us. I mean, they refused to engage with us.
They don't owe you, and they don't owe you that.
Well, which is fine. Well, don't act like you're trying to get to the bottom of something.
So again,
don't act like you're trying to get to the bottom of something.
Don't do the thing to them that you are accusing other people of doing.
He said he's trying to get to the bottom of it.
Don't make assumptions that
I'm not
for
assuming.
them. No, you are. You're like, well, they're not doing this, and they're trying to make.
They're not reaching out to the boys.
They have not spoken to you.
They haven't spoken to the boys.
Charles. In fairness, at least.
No, it's no unfairness, yo. Fam, the family spoke to the boys on night one. The family spoke to them. They told the family, this is all we know. Here is everything. So if the family already has the boys' statements and they're saying that this is all we know, this is our story, and we're sticking to it, why would Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton need to talk to the boys? Why would they need to the family already know what the boys' stories are. The boys have made it perfectly clear what their stories are, right? So it makes no sense. Again, them not speaking to the boys does not take away from everything. Benjamin Crump is not investigating this. He's a civil rights attorney. Al Sharpton is not investigating this. He's a civil rights attorney. They're saying, hey, bruh, we're gonna speak up and we're gonna go out of our way and have our team on this and have them do the investigation. But the family already knows the boys' statements. What, should they talk to the boys 3-4 times so they can tell them, hey, we told Nolan, let's get on the boat. Nolan didn't get on the boat, so we left with his phone, his everything. Like, why do Tatum think this is such like a gotcha moment? Like, it's not.
Please answer this question. If indeed it's to be found out that there's been no attempt by whether it's Sharpton or Benjamin Crump or anybody else to reach out to the actual boys who were supposed to be in attendance with Nolan Wells, as Officer Tatum just highlighted, do you feel that that's the right path that they should be taking if they're raising suspicions, calling for a more thorough and open investigation, et cetera, and they haven't made personal attempts to reach out to these young men themselves? Do you think that that would be the right thing to do?
I can't think.
To ask Officer Tatum's question.
Sure, I can't imagine that legal team would look to bring a lawsuit without having attempted to at least try to get some investigative answers from these boys. Now, when in this process they do it is a different question, because at the end of the day, the more information you have, the more informed questions you can ask. And the chances are you're not going to get multiple bites at that apple. So from a strategic place, what I can tell you is that, yes, I would fully expect that at some point they would endeavor to reach out to these boys, but it may not be this point.
Also, isn't it crazy how Tatum makes an excuse for the officers not providing information to Benjamin Crump or the family because they are still investigating and they don't want to leak anything about possible suspects. But Tatum does not give Crump and his investigation team, right, the same just do, but say, hey, listen, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know how they're investigating. You don't know what they're looking into. You just don't. So you give the DA and the sheriffs, you give them the benefit of the doubt for not being transparent, for seemingly fumbling this investigation, but yet Crumping them is on your timeline. Man, shut up, man. That's the facts, man.
They're not going to get boys, but it may not be this point because they may be waiting for additional information so that they can actually ask better questions. They're not going to get multiple chances to do it.
Tatum, you're getting cooked. Also, too, by the way, right? Now, bro is playing Tatum's own game with him, right? Bro is, now, again, let's be real here, okay? All right? We can all agree, right, that if Crump ain't reach out yet, all right? But don't concede an inch. Bro is being just as bad faith as Tatum is, right? And Tatum can't take it. This will be a Tatum explanation if Tatum was on the opposite side. Well, we don't know when they're going to reach out. They might reach out next week or in a month. They got to do the investigation to find the right answer to ask them. You see how you don't like bad faith responses, Tatum? Now, again, I'm of the mindset the family already got their statements. The boys have already put out their statements. Ashley called the boy's mama, has put out her statement. So why would you need to talk to the three boys when there's hundreds of people who are like bringing in tips? Crump, the mama, and everybody involved have made it very clear they have been talking to people since this very investigation started. And there's hundreds of people who have brought in tips they've been following.
So when you do it, you want to make sure that you're doing it the best way you can. And the only way to do that is to have the information that you need in order to ask the best questions.
Charles, they drug these boys through the mother freaking mud. They put their faces online.
They ain't do a goddamn thing, bro. Listen, the boys' faces were already online well before them.
Benjamin Crump shared this video or this picture of them in a swimming pool. That happened. That event was a week before July 4th. He didn't do no due diligence to check with anybody before.
But Ben Crump says, yo, people online are saying this. Do anybody have any proof of this? Benjamin Crump posted a picture asking people to come forward with any information about the picture. What do you talk? Yo, how do you do research? Yo, how do you investigate and ask for tips? But I can't present what I want to tip on.
Before he started putting this stuff out there. Then what he do is he go, I had people saying that the argument was Nolan Wells asking for his phone back. He didn't talk to Tristan, who I interviewed. Tristan said on NBC, that was me, or ABC, that was me. That was not Nolan. But Benjamin Crump still, to this day, haven't came out and said, we found out that it was another young man. He pushed this stuff on.
What are y'all talking about? First off, how would he know it's another man when he's getting varying reports? Varying reports, all right? And there were multiple altercations that took place, right? So, again, if 10 people is telling Ben Crump this, 10 people is telling him this, how did he decide, I'm going to believe these 10 people and not this 10 people, especially if the people telling me this are the people who are trying to exonerate themselves? So if 10 folks tell me, yo, Nolan Walsh was asking for his phone back, then the other 10 is saying, no, he didn't. But the 10 that's telling me no, he didn't are the 10 that are possible suspects. Why in the world would I believe the 10 telling me and not the 10 who told me, yo, right? So no, of course he has not conceded any points yet because it's still an active investigation and these are people being looked at.
On these boys and they getting death threats. That stuff is not right. Benjamin should be more responsible. But the reason
I'm not
that
here to talk about Nolan Wells' lawyer. I'm here to talk about why Nolan Wells why Nolan Wells is dead.
But let's get to that. Let's get to the phones.
Go ahead.
The phones getting deleted. Because Al Sharpton came out there and said the mama had to go and search the phone down with GPS and Life 360. No, she didn't. The boys showed text messages, or the parents showed text messages of them communicating with his mom. She refused. And then they go and say they deleted. The boys say, the boys told me it could be not true or not. I don't know. They got to figure it out. They go, we didn't touch his phone. His phone went from the boat to the car with everybody else's phone. And when they came to get the phone, we got the phone out of the car and gave it to another young man's mom who came to get the other young man's phone. They said, we don't know Nolan's password. How will we get in his phone and delete anything? Now, why is them not coming on TV and saying there was no password or they had to get through his phone?
Let me ask you this question. Based on your investigation, I'm asking you this. I'm thinking of any parent that loses their child wants to get to the bottom of it. They don't care if the villain is white, black, or whatever. Their child is dead. They want the culprit. So when you see Al Sharpton eulogizing and announcing that there's a $100,000 reward, when you see that Tyler Perry agreed to pay for the funeral and put up half of the reward, when you see guys like Spike Lee and Terrell Owens in attendance, and Terrell Owens, I think, dedicated $25,000, if I remember correctly, according to the reports that I've read, and you see Benjamin Crump in attendance, and you're talking about civil rights lawyers being in attendance, like you just pointed out. My question to you, Officer Tatum, and Charles, you can follow up based on the answer that he provides. My question to you is, why do you think the parents decided to go that route, Officer Tatum, based on your investigation in terms of allowing all of those folks to be so intimately involved in this situation? What are your thoughts about that? What comes to your mind, particularly based on your investigation, talking to the actual parties supposedly involved?
There's two thoughts that come to my mind. One is that Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump are manipulating this family's trauma in order for them to make a crap ton of money. That's one. The second one is the parents trying.
Well, no. Nolan Wells' grandfather was on Facebook the day that Nolan Wells' body was found and saying, this is suspicious, it doesn't make sense. The family already had suspicion before Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton. Nolan Wells' grandfather, and we covered like the Facebook post he made. Nolan Wells' grandfather said, they searched for his body the day before. The day before was the second day because Nolan Wells, was dead on the 4th. On the 5th, they searched for the body. On the 6th, they found him. So on the 5th, drones came, they walked the island from sundown to sunset everywhere, searched every part of the island, and they didn't find the body, even though the high waves and the low waves, the high tides and the low tides came and went. They didn't find a body. Then they found a body conveniently in the same spot they already searched. The grandfather said, this is suspicious. I need answers of what happened to my son. So if the family already has suspicion, why are you now blaming like Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton for making the family suspicious? No, that was already there.
On this because, and it's the reason why I say this. Why did Nolan Wells' mama say, I don't know these kids? These boys showed me pictures and video and text of them staying over his house, or at least the young boy Tristan, staying over his house multiple times. She went to school with one of the other boys' mama, graduated high school with her. They showed me the yearbook. Why is she saying this?
Yeah, but Warren told you he had never met her. I'm so confused. Warren told you he never met her. Tristan told you he don't know the mom like that. What are you talking about? Bro, your own interview with them would debunk this. They told you to your face, We never met her. What are you talking about?
Why Al Sharpton don't know this boy? Why is he eulogizing him at his funeral? Ain't never met Nolan a day in his life. You know, why are they saying we're going to give $100,000 to somebody who give us information to lead to an arrest? What if Nolan drowned?
Yo, wait, pause, bro. Hold on, bro. Oh, what's wrong with you? Yo, why is Al Sharpton eulogized? Maybe because his parents is having a hard time. Maybe because the parents are not ready yet, bro, to come and, fam, listen, bro. If the parents chose Al Sharpton, I'm not even going to try to look to, if the parents chose Al Sharpton, if the parents and the family felt like Al Sharpton would do Nolan Wells justice, what's your issue? What's your problem? Why do you care that Al Sharpton is eulogizing Nolan Wells? Bruh, nobody loved Nolan more than his mama and his father. Nobody loved him more. Nobody on planet Earth. So if these people felt like it was the right decision to have Al Sharpton eulogize Nolan, why do you care? What's your issue? But what's your issue? Even the people who feel like, oh, people is taking us out of proportion, do you think it's okay for Officer Tatum to question why Al Sharpton is eulogizing Nolan Wells when the parents picked him? You think that's okay? You think that's cool? You think that right there is in good faith? You think that's okay? You think that's decent for him to question why Al Sharpton is eulogizing Nolan Wells when the parents picked Al Sharpton? Y'all think that's okay? You see, listen, man, it's one thing if you feel like, he drowned, y'all taking this out of proportion is one thing. It's another, bruh, to question how the parents is dealing with the death of their son. That's disrespectful. That's nasty shit. That's not okay.
Somebody who give us information to lead to an
That's
arrest.
nasty.
What if Nolan drowned? They don't care about him drowning. And then also, why we don't do this for any other young men who have lost their lives at the hands of other people other than white people? Why are we coming together?
Charles, I'm going to give you the floor, Charles.
What? Back to Beckham? Why? Because again, if a man lost his life to another black man, that black man would be in jail, Tatum. I'm sorry to tell you, bro. I'm sorry to tell. I'm sorry to tell you. All right. If Nolan Wells was shot and killed by another black kid, that black kid would be in jail. There would not be a need, right, to pressure white folks to arrest a black kid who committed a crime. I'm sorry, bro. If Nolan Wells was shot and killed by a black kid in the cities of Ocean Springs, there will be no civil rights move. There would not be a need to convince or pressure, right, the white DA or the white sheriffs to arrest that black kid. He'll be in jail that night. Things like this is needed, right? We're trying to convince the sheriffs, the DAs to hold white folks accountable for things they do, especially if it's a white, powerful family. That's what it is.
Charles, I'm gonna give you the floor in a second, but Officer Tatum, it's one thing. I want to make sure that I give you an opportunity to clarify, because it's one thing to feel what you feel about Benjamin Crump, Reverend Al Sharpton, etc. It's another thing entirely to lump the parents who just lost their child.
But I know it's
equation,
sensitive.
talking about they're trying to profit.
I know
off
it's
this.
sensitive.
You sure you want to
Stephen A?
say that? Is what I'm saying. You sure you want to say that?
Let me be clear about this. You asked me what my thoughts were. I didn't say that
Yes,
that was
I did.
facts. I just said these are my thoughts based on a few facts.
Bro, listen, what type of sensible, decent human being is saying that a mother who just lost her son is trying to profit from his death? What? Listen, man. Even if you're somebody, bro, who think my God Flacco, I hate you, Flacco. You are a sensitive liberal, even though I've never identified as a liberal in my life. Like, right? Oh my God, Flacco, blah, blah. Oh my God, you guys is race hustling. Okay, cool. You think it's appropriate, you think it's decent for a man to come on a national platform and to say the mother who is actively grieving her 18-year-old son who just died, she is grifting, she is for profit? Y'all think that's a decent thing to do? Bro, y'all have no decorum, bro. Y'all are just absolutely disgusting and sick.
Actors, right?
Okay.
There ain't no reason for Al Sharpton to be doing that boy's eulogy when Al never knew him.
That's not even your call or your business
But
to make.
what I'm saying is that if I die, my daddy, if I die,
that's you. Respect the choices that family made.
Let him speak.
If I get killed,
that family had a choice.
Why?
And who it is that? Why is that? They don't have to answer to you. That's not.
They
even
don't.
business.
But I have an opinion.
That's that family.
Okay.
I don't even understand why that family chose to eulogize their fallen son.
What is
any of your business to have any commentary about?
Well, you can't tell me that because
it's not Tatum is not your Tatum. They never asked you for a dime. They never asked you to get involved. They never asked you for anything. You are just a disgusting human. Bro, Tatum, you are the worst human being I've ever witnessed. Yo, I don't think I've ever seen a worse human being, bruh. You are trying to humiliate and ridicule a grieving mother. What? 23 days after her 18-year-old son lost his life? The brother is right. The brother is right. It's not your business or any of the white nationalists or white supremacists who worship you business.
Don't seem normal. It don't seem normal to me.
Anyone they wanted to.
It don't seem normal. It don't seem normal to me for a man that don't even preach sermons to do a eulogy for a boy that he didn't know.
Okay, we're going off the rails, guys. Time. We're going off the rails. We're going off the rails because Charles, I know you got to get ready to go. We're running out of time, so I'm just going to give this last question to the both of y'all. Officer Tatum, I'm going to give you the word, and then Charles Coleman, I'm going to give you the last word. What are your expectations of what is going to come of this when all is said and done, based on the evidence that we know? Charles, Officer Tatum, I'll go with you first. Charles, I'll give you the last word.
And I'll try to make this succinct. I think we're going to find that the law enforcement agency did a fair investigation, that they did things right all the way through the process, and that none of this will lead to any of what Al Sharpton them said it was and alluded that it was, and they will get to the bottom of what happened to Nolan, and it will be clean, it will be professional, and it will be the same result without the interference with activists and people out here hoodwinking. I think that they're going to find out what happened to Nolan, and it's not going to be Al Sharpton. It's not going to be Benjamin Crump. It's going to be the law enforcement agencies that go out and do this stuff every single day, that does an investigation, that's going to be forensically looked through the cell phone, that's going to interview 60 people and find out what happened to Nolan. And they're going to be able to say, was it somebody that did something nefarious to Nolan? They're going to be prosecuted. If Nolan drowned, they're going to let the family know he drowned. That's going to be the totality of this investigation, which didn't have nothing to do with this race stuff and had nothing to do with these activists coming out and making money on the death of another black boy.
Charles, I'll give you the last word because I know you got to go.
Sure. Thank you, Stephen A. I don't necessarily know what will come of the case. I am and continue to be invested in the integrity of the process, number one, so that it sets a precedent of getting to the facts and having objective information disseminated to the public in a way that's honest, truthful, and transparent. What I will say is that it's disappointing to sit and listen to Brandon talk about the same type of aspersions being cast on Benjamin Crump, on Al Sharpton, in the same way that they are advocating for answers for Nolan Wells, that he has railed against the same type of characterizations going in reverse. A split mirror image of the type of vitriol that you are decrying against the survivors in this instance being spewed at Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton. And I don't necessarily think that gets us anywhere, and it's not productive when you're talking about getting to the bottom of this and understanding what actually happened to Nolan Wells. So for me, I hope that the dialogue can be more tempered, where we're not trying to characterize people in either direction, but we're trying to insist on getting to the bottom of things and looking for the facts.
Spirited discussion, that's what it's all about. Two opposite points of view. But
bro, Tatum should be embarrassed. Bro, Tatum should be embarrassed. Yo, Tatum got cooked, in my opinion, bro. All right, Tatum got cooked in my opinion, okay? Okay, perfect. So let me know what y'all think, man. All right? What do y'all think about that one? All right, come on, let's get to it, man. Now let's go to some other topics. Okay, so let's run through some quick topics, and then we gotta discuss whatchamacallit, man. And then we gotta discuss the. So we'll do some quick topics, and then we'll get to Tommy Sotomayor and Jake Shields. They did probably listen. They did an interview, and I haven't watched it yet, but I know it's already some. It has to be something, but I'm gonna reframe my thoughts until we review it. Okay, perfect. Let's get to it, man. One sec. Have y'all seen this Trump and Nicki Minaj shit? Here, come on, let's get to it. Somebody says, "Oh, if I know, let's read the super chats first, and then we'll get to." Sorry about that. I'm always bad with this. Let's read the super chats first, and then we'll get to. And then we'll get to like the other topics. Let's read super chats first. So let's just go through it real quick. Oh, so there, what did I get in Unk Alert? Man, shout out to everybody sending stars, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Shout out to everybody sending stars, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Man, big shout out, man, to Connoisseur Goblins for welcoming to Flacco Gang Day 1. Big shout out to Lil Bad for joining Flacco Gang, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Listen, if you want to join, man, please join as a member, man. I'll really appreciate it. Let's run through these super chats real quick. Quick 2910 says, Flacco in chat, what's going on? What I missed? Shout out to you, bro. Casham Cowboy says, Officer BLT, Officer B. Licker Tatum, the grift backfired. The interview was recorded before the call was released, so Tatum did us a favor. Leah says, Flacco, you got a ban / timeout came out and just been like, that's a fact. He gone, right? He gone for life. K Monty, you're a bozo. That's a fact. He gone for life. He's over with. Right? He's banned. He can never come back forever. He's done. Quick says, F with these live streams. When are you and Ak going to do a collab stream or even a better live podcast with Ak? Oh yeah, and I'm ready to be a mod. Man, shout out to Ak. The Black Republican says, LOL, what happened to let's make a show called God Bless the White Man? You'll say anything that you think the fans will approve of. Be your own man. So, okay. So first off, that was a joke with, I think it was me and, oh my God, I forgot dude's name. It was a dude from the Apollo. Brother, here's the thing, man, okay? I think you're part of like the No Jumper LA universe. Again, man, y'all can continue to lie, but whatever type of like nonsense or what type of, you feel me, that y'all trying to like spread on me, it's not gonna work, okay? All right, it's not gonna work, okay? Yeah, right. Like that far right extremist shit that you niggas on, I'm not on that. You feel me? So, the Black Republican tells me everything I need to know. Okay. Somebody says Skeet to us. All I know is that Pookie and Ray Ray would have been in jail until they got to the bottom of it. Bro, that's a fact. I don't think anybody can dispute. Okay. Again, I don't think anybody can dispute that if Nolan Wells was white, this would be handled differently. Okay. Let's go. So Ranger says, just heard the audio emergency call. Girl says, hey, Nolan, is he dead? Mill voice says, yes, caller. That's a fact. Black Republican says the call was cutting out. Brother, you are the only one who believes that. Rip Session was gone when the mother was trying to find the phone. Why did they answer it? That's a fact. The fact that you didn't want to call the Coast Guards when y'all was sinking, that's a fact. Again, cooked them. Laughed my A off. He sat down and spoke with the suspects at large. That's a fact. All right. But somehow they claim there are suspects while also claiming this was nothing but an accidental drowning. How nasty work, Ranger says. Man, Tatum's Nata Boy says, Tatum, the clown, did everything for money. That's who really about getting money. Stephen A. Smith wants Tatum back on the show because he produces money. He's selling t-shirts with a bolts. M.A. Georgia, G.A. bruh, crying for Kirk, but wouldn't for his dad. That's a fact. Yo, when Tatum says that he cried for his father, no, he wouldn't cry if his father died, but he was on stream crying when Charlie Kirk died. Tells me everything I need to know about Tatum. Okay, so we'll read the rest of the super chats towards the end of the show. Let's get into it, man. So apparently, like, Nicki Minaj and Trump is beefing. Have y'all heard about this? Have y'all heard about this before? Right, so apparently Nicki Minaj and Trump is beefing after Trump gives Nicki Minaj her wake-up call. I'll explain it, okay? So Donald Trump was, I think, at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and he has some comments to say about Nicki Minaj. See, but here's the thing, okay? Now, Nicki Minaj have sold us out. Now, the Barbs, or people who are associated with Nicki Minaj, have claimed that Nicki Minaj have made this, like, this alt-right pivot, this white supremacist pivot, because she wants to get back at Roc Nation. I don't care how evil Roc Nation is. White nationalists and white supremacists are more evil than Roc Nation. So you aligning with a bigger enemy to get back at Jay-Z, to me, makes no sense whatsoever. Now, Nicki Minaj coming out as a Republican is not the issue. There are great Republicans. Some of my friends are Republicans. The issue is the sentiments and the dog whistling that Nicki Minaj said on that stage right next to Erica Kirk. Nicki Minaj sat on that stage and said, young black girls are jealous of blonde-haired, blue-eyed white women. Nicki Minaj sat on that stage, right, and rooted for and promoted the ICE murders. Nicki Minaj sat on that stage and dog whistled harmful rhetoric towards black folks. So Nicki Minaj taking a right-wing pivot isn't why people are upset. It's the fact that she has turned into the worst version of a right-winger. Yo, there are right-wingers who are okay. Yo, again, my guy, Steve Holstrom. Steve Holstrom owns a conservative radio station. Steve Holstrom is one of my best friends. Steve Holstrom, right, built a multi-million-dollar media company. Steve Holstrom gave me a job when I didn't have nothing, no experience whatsoever, because he's seen something in me. Steve Holstrom will chin check you if you got disrespectful about black folks. Steve Holstrom literally cried in front of me talking about black injustices, and he's a Republican. Steve cried, like tears, talking about black injustices, and he's a Republican. So Nicki Minaj chose to be the worst version of a Republican or an alt-righter. So when Donald Trump did, now apparently she's very upset that Donald Trump said this about her. I guess she's just now realizing, that they don't respect tokens. Tokens are meant to be spent. They don't respect tokens. Because if you would betray your own race, what makes Donald Trump think that you're somebody he could trust or respect? If you betrayed your own race, what makes you think that he will use you as one of his loyal soldiers or like somebody he can trust, right? So Donald Trump said this about Nicki Minaj, and here's what he had to say.
But after hearing the gunshots, many people yelled, get down, which caused Nicki Minaj to start twerking. Do you believe it?
You see how they view you? Yo, they don't respect you. Again, you see how they view you? Nicki Minaj got up on that stage and presented herself as one of the good ones and said everything they needed to say. Dog, J.D. Vance literally used Nicki Minaj's sentiments that black girls are jealous of blue eyes, blonde hair, white women, and that these little black girls are being taught to hate them. I've never heard of that before. J.D. Vance used Nicki Minaj statements to say, white folks, stand in your whiteness. White nationalism is the way to go. J.D. Vance utilized a statement from Nicki Minaj to promote white nationalism. to promote this rhetoric that America is this white country that belongs to white folks and that white folks are being persecuted and hunted by minorities who are jealous of them. Because she wanted to be accepted by these people, she presented herself as, I'm the good one. I'm the good one. These other folks is bad. Nicki Minaj is now finding out they don't view you any different. They just don't view you as one of the good ones. They just don't.
But after hearing the gunshots, many people yelled, get down, which caused Nicki Minaj to start twerking. Do you believe it? Get down. She's the only one that really understood what that meant. It's quite an evening.
Out of all the white women there, Nicki Minaj was the only one that got on her knees and started twerking when they said, get down, get down, get down, get down, get down. So Nicki Minaj clearly isn't happy about this. She's not happy at all, right? She feels embarrassed, which rightfully so. They're laughing at you. They don't respect you. Yo, here's the thing, and here's what I learned, man. Look at, any friend group that has the majority of white folks. Now, I'm not saying all. And that black token that's in that white friend group, he's always the entertainment. He's always the muse. He's always the court jester. When you see a black person primarily in a friend group with all whites by themselves, that black person is the court jester. He's the person who comes and he entertains them. He dances, he sings, he's hilarious, he's funny. He's the court jester for that friend group. Listen, man, I used to be an assistant manager, right, at a call center before. And the one thing that I would notice, and I notice it every single time, was when we hire a black person, right? They come to the call center and they are great workers. Amazing, right? Right? And the first thing they start doing is becoming overly friendly with the white folks at the job. They start joking with these white folks. They start laughing with these white folks. They become the jester and the butt of the joke. And what you begin to see is these white folks will laugh in your face. You become their entertainment and their muse at the workplace. And I had to tell them, no, bruh, you don't come to this workplace and become the court jester and the muse. Because they would be entertained by you. They would have your entertainment, but when you're up for a promotion, you don't get it. But when it's time for them to reward you for your great personality to climb the ladder, you don't get it. See, they respect you as a court jester, but they don't respect you when it's time to make you their peers. And it never fails, bruh. I had a talk with a few of them. Hey, bruh, don't come to this job being these folks' entertainment, bruh. Don't come to this job dancing, shucking it. Don't come to this job playing with them folks, bruh. What you doing? Let them entertain themselves, bruh. But you come to this job being a court gesture, being hella entertaining, being the butt of the joke. Now when it's time for a promotion, now guess what? You don't get it because they don't respect you. So Nicki Minaj is realizing this in real time.
But tonight we come back together to answer that heinous attack with unwavering resolve. And every one of us here this evening to show that in America, we do not yield to political violence. We can't do that.
All right, cool. Now, here is Nicki Minaj response to this. Now, Nicki Minaj, for some reason, doesn't seem to understand these folks don't respect her. Like, she is shocked. Like, she is shocked that this is how they view her. In her mind, they viewed her as this, serious, person. They viewed her as this like dignified, respectable person. But now she's starting to see how they really view her. And this is her response right here. Okay. So she goes, how I'll be looking at the president next time I see him with this look, with this intensified look, like, now you're just looking at him. Now you're just looking at him like this. Now, you see, bro, a lot of these tokens are unable they're unable to identify, and I want to be very careful with my words here, man, right? Because again, these are still black people I'm talking about. They're tokens, but they're still black. They're unable to identify with the struggles and the plights of other black people because they don't identify as black. And that's hard to fully understand, and that's hard to see, but I'm telling you, that's just the truth. You see, Nicki Minaj needed to go through the humiliation herself because even though she's an immigrant, even though she has came here as a black woman, she can't identify with my friends in Minnesota who was getting picked up and kidnapped from off the streets, even though they were citizens. My friend was a literal citizen. He was a citizen. He walked out of an African store. ICE was camped out of the African store. They weren't looking for anybody in particular. They were just camped out, stopping any African who walked out the African store. My friend was a U.S. citizen. They asked him for his ID. He gave it to him. Asked him for his SSN. He gave it to him. They told my friend, your social security number and your ID is not enough. Do you have your birth certificate on you? My friend said, why would I walk out my house with my birth certificate? What are you talking about? They picked him up by his feet and his arms, put him inside the car, drove him away, and it took 2 hours before they could release him. They kidnapped him from off the streets. She don't identify with that struggle. She don't identify with Trump being a reason why those people's rights are being violated. He was a U.S. He was a citizen, and he was dragged from off the streets. Nicki Minaj see that happening. She don't identify with it because she do not identify as black. She just doesn't. She does not see herself through that. So the only way she could feel it if it's directed towards her directly. Now she's saying, oh man, when I see Trump is smoke, man, hey man, now it's smoke? It should have been smoke. It should have been smoke when your own people were being attacked. It should have been smoke. So no, I don't feel bad for her like Nicki Minaj, not one bit, bro, at all. I don't feel bad for her, not one bit. At all, man. Yo, let's get to this, man. Yo, there was something tonight too I want to talk about. Yo, listen. Oh, so, okay. So, Russell Simmons got a lot of backlash for something that I don't... Here, bro. Like, let's watch this, man. So, Russell Simmons got a lot of backlash for this. Like, he got a bunch of backlash. So, Russell Simmons wants the world to think... I'm going to let y'all hear it for yourselves, all right? So, Russell Simmons is getting a lot of backlash for this particular statement he made on stream. Now, this statement particularly is very polarizing. And I feel like this is a discussion I feel like it's been due for a very long time. This is a statement I felt like the black community should have had a very long time ago, but now we're finally having it this morning because of Russell Simmons. So here's what he had to say.
A friend, a lifelong friend, because I told him that I thought that Netanyahu's approach was that he was committing war crimes. I was very careful not to use the word genocide because I knew that he would be enraged.
You would have been accurate in both, though. If you would have said Netanyahu was committing a genocide and he was a war criminal, you would have been accurate in both, right? You even saying, oh, I didn't want to tell him the truth. I didn't want to tell my Jewish friend, hey, again, Netanyahu is a war criminal. You didn't want to tell him that because you were scared of his reaction. Tells me everything I need to know about you. Everything. Because what are you talking about?
Because I know that he would be enraged if I said that. And more than that, you know, at the very least, he is at least committing war crimes. I mean, by definition, what Netanyahu has done in Gaza is commit war crimes. That's my opinion. But at the same time, I recognize how angry he got because he feels that there's an insensitivity towards the rapid growth and anger towards Jews. And he knows that in history, past, over and over again, for more years than we can even count, Jews have been the target of not just anti-Semitism, but real attacks on their life, their lives. They are a small group of people, 11 to 15 million people by all accounts, and they're up against communities of billions who don't like them. So they feel threatened beyond belief. Could imagine that if you were a small community and billions of people didn't like you because of your religion. Or they could say that it's...
Hey, man. Hey, listen, man. Now, again, he's getting somewhere that I want him to get to. But he's slow cooking it. Now, listen, man. I don't know the veracity of that. I don't believe that there are billions of people who hate Jewish people because they're Jewish. I just refuse to believe that. I don't think it's billions of people. I think that's false. I think you could say people have an issue with the state of Israel and how they operate and things that they're doing, right? People have an issue with a school of young black women, well, not young black, right? Because they're brown, right? So, but still, all right? A school of young kids, regardless of their race, 13 and under, being bombed and murdered, all right? People have a problem with the war crimes being committed. True. But this is not what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to where he says black folks and our relationship with the Jewish community needs to be on a certain footing. I feel like that's important, and that's the conversation we need to have. He's just saying a whole lot of blasphemy, right? Because what you're about to see is, I agree that Netanyahu is a war criminal, absolutely. Now, the footing our relationship should be with the Jewish community, I think needs to be had. But he's just taking such a long time to get to it because I guess he's trying to line it up. Like, I don't know, man. But hopefully he gets to it soon.
Could imagine that if you were a small community and billions of people didn't like you because of your religion.
I don't know.
Or if they could say that it's because of the actions of Netanyahu or whatever, but it's not them. Most of the Jews that I know in New York voted for Mandami. And they also feel that Netanyahu's actions are not good, not only for the Zionist cause, which is understandable. I think Jews should have a place to live and they should be safe. And if Israel is that place, then I am a supporter of their right to exist. In fact, a big supporter of Zionism, that the expansion of Zionism under the guise of being safe, my opinion, is different.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, yo. I guess if this is how you got to get your money as a fugitive, get your money, bruh. Yo, Russ has been on a run for how long now? Yo, how long has Russ been on a run for? What, 10 years? Has it been 10 years he's been in Bali? Right? Has it been 10 years? I guess. All right. Now, one can say, what? Like, black folks don't have their own country? Black folks don't have their own country, right? Like, why can't they live in harmony how they been living before the state, right? Again, like Jewish folks was persecuted, what, in Germany? Cool. Well, somebody says like 8 years. Okay, maybe 6 or 8. Cool. Yo, he been on the run for 8 years. I guess the money running low. He gotta, he gotta suck up. But man, listen, man. One can make an argument for the state of Israel isn't really needed because Jewish people, just like Christians, just like Muslims, just like anybody else, they lived in various countries. They lived in harmony with other people. Right now, Germany OD'd. Right, right. Like Germany got to tripping. But Jewish people would be safe in America. They would have been safe in Canada. They would have been safe in other countries around the world, right? So the Jewish state itself was not a necessity, right? Because like you can't say, hey, we need to have, I don't know, like a Muslim state. Well, there are Muslim states, but right, like nobody's saying, hey, listen, man, black folks, we need to have a country just for black folks because if black folks live anywhere else, we will get persecuted by our oppressor, right? But nonetheless, though, that is not what I'm trying to get to. I'm just waiting for him to get to the actual point.
Different from others. I feel that they should have a place to live and they should be careful to protect where they live. And I believe in the Palestinian state 100% and have believed in this forever. I've been in trouble for having this opinion. But my point I'm making, I'm going to go down. What are we discussing today? The attacks on Jewish community members.
Get to it.
For no good reason. The blatant anti-Semitism and anger towards Jews who have no knowledge or support or have no control over the actions of the Israeli government. And a lot of it is because of their Jewishness and not their Israeli government support or not, since most Jews in New York favor Mendami over Netanyahu. Goes to say that they don't like the actions of Netanyahu either. They should not be penalized. In fact, those who do support Netanyahu, like my dear friend who I lost, haven't spoken to him in God knows how long, I want to explain to you that there's a fear and a justified fear that drives them and their support for the kind of action that seem to us to be unreasonable. For me, Netanyahu's actions are unreasonable and unacceptable. But for a person who comes from a community that's always threatened, that they know that history is proven to them that they could be under the guise, they could be attacked as a community, not only as bad as it is now, because of course I had research for all these years. When I ran the Foundation for Ethnic Understanding, I saw the rapid rise of anti-Semitism then, and I just recently saw a report that is much, much worse than any time during the 25 years I ran that foundation. So I'm saying this to you because I want you to kind of understand both sides of the coin. And whatever your opinion about the actions of the Israeli government, please, don't take it out on people who have no power over them and are not committing any acts of violence. And
where is this extreme violence against Jewish people around the world? Because I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. But clearly, no group of people, whether it's Jewish, black, whatever, no group deserves to be persecuted. Now, I'm not seeing the evidence of this extreme violence against Jewish people around the world. I'm not seeing it. I don't see it in America. I don't see it anywhere else. I just don't see. Now, obviously, like October 7th, and things happening in Israel and that war going on, obviously that war is very violent. But I'm not seeing this extreme violence around the world towards Jewish people. I'm just not seeing it.
A sweet collective of beautiful human beings. The Jewish community has been a great friend to the black community, more so than any WASP ever. And they've been a big support of our businesses, of our civil rights movements, of many, and this is to black people, many of our causes have been bettered and moved forward because of our relationship with the Jewish community. That's one. And America, if you take all of the inventions and support that they've given us in so many ways, we know that they're such an important part of the American fabric. I just want individuals to step back. And I think that we should be careful in our rhetoric. What we say about Israel should be very clearly defined as about Israel and Israeli government policies, and not about individuals. And we should be very careful at this moment with this rapid rise of anti-Semitism. And I, for one, am really, I feel threatened because what happens to one of us as a collective community member happens to all of us.
Okay.
So I pray that we would turn this around. I pray for peace in the Middle East, obviously, and that Israel will somehow concede a fair and just settlement to the Palestinian people, and that we can somehow promote reparations to the Palestinian people. And
hold on, bro. Now I'll be real, bro. Pushing for reparations for Palestinians before you push reparations for your own people is crazy, right? Pushing for reparations for Palestinians because of what's going on before you push for reparations for your own people in America is crazy. Now, here's what I will say, okay? Because he eventually says the Jewish community has been a great friend to the black community, and we should all be Zionists and protect the Jewish state. Here's my thoughts on this, and this is where I want to get to, okay? See, 4 years. Now, I think, again, Netanyahu is a war criminal. He is. I think Netanyahu deserves to be locked up and in prison. I agree. But here's the thing, and here's what we got to discuss. See, I feel like the last 10 years, right, at the turn of the decade, white supremacists and white nationalists like Nick Fuentes, they have convinced us to isolate ourselves from the Jewish community. And they have convinced, especially like liberals, like Democrats, they have convinced Democrats, hey, bruh, don't take AIPAC money. Now, AIPAC primarily have given billions of dollars to Democrats. AIPAC primarily donated to Democrats, primarily for a very long time. They donated primarily to Democrats for a very long time. AIPAC money has helped Democrats win a lot of elections. Now, the white supremacists like Nick Fuentes, they realized that. They realized that, bruh, this AIPAC money is swaying these elections. It's swaying it. Now, they've been able to spew enough rhetoric and propaganda to where now you have Democrats saying, I'm not taking AIPAC money. I'm not taking it. Now, again, I do not agree with anything that Netanyahu is saying. I'm saying this, okay? When you have the morally bankrupt politicians like Donald Trump and these other white supremacists, right, who are taking AIPAC money and they're winning these elections, but yet you have Democrats saying, I'm not taking AIPAC money, I'm pure. And then we sitting back and we cheering that on like that's a good thing. No, understand this, okay? White nationalists and white supremacists don't like Jewish people. Jewish people do not like white supremacists and white nationalists. Black people, we do not like white supremacists and white nationalists. We don't. So hence, if we can identify with a common enemy and a mutual friend to go against white supremacists, who, by the way, the common enemy, sorry, the mutual friend, the common enemy is white. This mutual friend of ours got all the paper, got all the resources. So why have we been convinced? Why have we been convinced by white supremacists and white nationalists to not align ourselves with the Jewish state, use their resources to get our people elected? Why have we been convinced to turn away from AIPAC money and allow the white supremacists to run amok? Yo, it was 5 years ago. They was acting like they were friends of Muslims. Nick Fuentes, right? Nick Fuentes and all of them was online, right? Again, Nick Fuentes and all of them was online pretending to be friends of Muslims. Pretending to be friends of Muslims. Nick Fuentes, there's a literal interview clip of Nick Fuentes saying, we love the Muslims, we all got to ride against Israel, and we fed into that. We fed into that. And then what happened? As soon as they were successfully able to get the Jews out of here with the propaganda, now guess what? They turn it on Muslims. They turn it on black folks. They came into office, DEI out the window. We gone. I'm saying is this. Again, Netanyahu is a war criminal. We don't support, we don't back, we should never support what the state of Israel is currently doing. But if we can align with their dollars and use them for their money and their pockets and their resources to realign against the common enemy, why are we being told not to do that? Why are we being told not to do that? Now, again, if they ask us, hey, bro, can you speak up? Hey, hold on, homie. We not defending Israel. We not speaking up for Israel. We don't got nothing to do with what Israel got going on. We detest that. We condemn that. However, if we want to do business together in this country together, let's do it. If we want to do business together in this country and rally against white supremacists, let's rally against the white supremacists. All that other nonsense y'all got going on out this country, we don't support it. Y'all is evil for that. But if the white supremacists and the white nationalists hate Jewish people and Jewish people hate them, and our common enemy is the white supremacists, why not rally together in America, pull the resources together, get our candidates in, and get the white supremacists out of here? That's just my thoughts, though. Again, I'm not completely educated on this topic, right? I'm not completely educated, and like on this topic, so maybe y'all would know more about it. But I'm just thinking, bro, if, these white nationalists have been running amok, and if these are our common enemy, why not rally against our common enemy? Right? But let me know what y'all think, okay? Let me know. Hey, let's move on. Let's go to this next topic, man. Oh, somebody says, okay. Somebody says, yo, dig deeper, Flacco. AIPAC funds white nationalists too. They do. Wait, but why would AIPAC fund the white supremacists if the white supremacists hate the Jews? Somebody says they are all enemies. Say that all over. Free Palestine. Listen, that's a fact. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. That's a fact. 100% free Palestine. All right. Let's move on. Let's go. Somebody says they run you. Somebody says they run Ask Russell Simmons. That's a fact. Somebody says nobody rallying. We're tired of that. Okay, cool. Let's go. What else was yo, why they saying oh, okay, yeah, let's get to it. So we're gonna be reviewing Jake Shields and Tommy Sotomayor. Have y'all seen this before? Have y'all seen the new Jake Shields and Tommy Sotomayor interview? Let's go real quick, man. These folks. Wait, have they dropped it yet? Nah, they ain't dropped it yet, right? Damn, have they dropped it? Yeah, they dropped it here. So look real quick, man. Read this title real quick. Yo, look, listen, yo. Look at this title real quick, yo. Controversial takes on black culture, white guilt, and racial victimhood. It's about to be a whole lot of nonsense, okay? So here, come on, okay? So again, I'll be back for us to start this, okay? I'll be back shortly, okay? I'm back. I'm back. Oh shit! I'm sorry, guys. I left you on the phone. I'm sorry. Okay, cool. So Thomas Sotomayor sits down with Jake Shields. Now, okay, 1 second, people. So Thomas Sotomayor and Jake Shields sat down and they discussed black folks. Now, Jake Shields is like one of the most violent white supremacists I probably has ever seen online. Probably him and Sean Strickland. They're just violently white supremacists. So Thomas Sotomayor, who don't have the best track record when talking about black women, when he sits down with Jake Shields, we already suspect what's gonna happen. Now let's see the malarkey that like they engaged. Now a lot of people are angry about this sit down and what was discussed. So let's get into
YouTuber, or not YouTuber, you got banned. Rumble.
I want to talk about black culture, and I talk about how the degradation of blacks and.
Okay, my question is this, okay? There are so many places to talk about black culture at. Why do this with Jake Shields? Right? Yo, there are so many, you could talk about black culture at the Breakfast Club, on Poetic Flacco, Art of the Dialogue, No Jumper, not Vlad, but academic. You could talk about black culture in so many places. Why choose to sit down with a white supremacist to critique black folks? That's what I don't understand.
Where it would start. And I talked about fatherlesses. As a matter of fact, I went out and did a movie called The Fatherless American, which you can get on Amazon Prime. But I did
I'll watch that because the fatherless is the hugest, in my opinion, probably the single biggest issue of blacks. Not the only issue, but probably the single biggest issue.
It is the single biggest issue. And that's what I've been pointing out since I talked about how the destruction of the patriarchy and the uplifting of the matriarchy has been a problem, and it is a problem that you can point out where it's caused issues when it comes to the children, the dropout rate, the grape, I will say it is, and molestation rate of what happens to the girls. All these things can be personally aligned with a lack of fatherhood in the household. So we should talk about them. I would think if they want to see black people get better, they would talk about parts of the problems that ails them, but they don't.
Yeah, I agree. We can't fix it unless we talk about it. I get called for racist for and have these discussions. This is something I'm actually new.
Yo, their idea of talking about now, Tommy, I'll be real, bruh. Me and Tommy is on cordial, like we good, like we DM some from time to time. Tommy, I'm disappointed in you. Jake Shields have literally blamed all the problems in America on black folks. When they say, oh, we can't fix it unless we talk about it, their definition of talking about it is, hey, these black folks don't deserve to live among us. They're violent. These black folks are causing all these issues. Why do we have to live around these black folks? America is a white country. Their definition of talking about it is saying America is a white nation that black folks don't belong in, and black folks are the problem. That's not a good faith discussion, right? That's just reiterating white supremacist talking points. So why are we talking about black issues with white supremacists? There's a lot of things to be fixed in the black community. There's a lot of things to be fixed in the white community. There's a bunch to be fixed in the Asian community. There's a bunch to be fixed in the Mexican community. Why y'all don't sit down and talk about what needs to be fixed in the white community? Why y'all don't sit down and talk about what needs to be fixed in the Mexican community? Why y'all don't sit down and talk about what needs to be fixed in any other community? Why is your hot button issue the black community? What about us have y'all like so freaking obsessed? I'm confused.
A new topic. I've talked with a few black guys trying to understand where the problems come from, and I'm probably going to get labeled racist for this, but you're not going to fix something. And molestation, you mentioned. You know what? I've noticed there's a lot of gay black men. I think there's a lot of black men that are molested as kids because that's most gay people are molested. You're not supposed to say that. You can't say that, but it's probably true. And it gets buried.
Sir, are you crazy? Are you insane? Sir, look at the statistics. Look at the facts. White folks make up what, like 59% of the population? Over like 76% of the child porn charges being in possession of CSAM is white folks. White folks disproportionately are arrested for CSAM charges than anybody else. White folks are disproportionately arrested for SA charges over anybody else. White folks, white men in particular, are disproportionately arrested for grape than anybody else. White folks are disproportionately arrested for charges targeting children over anybody else. So if any community have an issue with children being targeted or kids being turned out, like through molestation, it's the white community. What are you talking about? How is that a black issue? See, that's the problem here, bro. These folks have a lot of issue in their community, but they refuse to discuss it. They will put their issues on us. Now, you could talk about the violence. Okay, we can have that discussion. Not with you there, though, among ourselves. But to say that black folks got a problem with touching kids, is you crazy? Do you not know who you are? Do you not know the statistics? See, y'all bring up the stats when it's convenient, but then y'all ignore when it's, like not convenient. Claiming that black folks got a problem with homosexuality and kids being touched. Oh no, you done lost your mind, bruh. Look at the stats. White folks are disproportionately arrested, charged, and convicted for nasty crimes. Bro, is you crazy?
On that way, but then when you ask them about a trauma in their life, someone messed with them when they were young. I gave the analogy to vampirism. Vampires. How do you make new vampires? An old vampire's got to bite a human and turn that human. And if you look at what they're doing, a lot of the gays are big on trying to be around your children, be inside of schools. Why? Because they got to get them young. You get them young, then you turn them into what they are, because they can't just they can't reproduce other gays. Yeah. So if they're proud gays, how is it that they can't reproduce any of them?
No, exactly. And I don't hate gay people, but you shouldn't be proud of it. It's clearly against the natural order of God. You can't have children. If everyone's gay, society is going to collapse. So to make this something prideful and push, I think it's disgusting. Do I hate these people? No. I actually have sympathy for them. Especially, I think talking about the fact a lot of them were millennials, maybe have more sympathetic for them. But instead, they yell at you and be like, shut up, you can't say that. It gave me more sympathy when I saw those statistics. I'm like, oh, these poor people.
Thank you. The statistics should matter. And you being a fighter and a high-level fighter, how did you deal with if you lost? One of the first things you had to do was go back and see what you did wrong. Imagine how far you would have gotten in your field if you refused to watch the tape.
Yep. A lot of guys, what they do, they want to blame their coaches and they fire their coach and jump to a new team instead of being. And sometimes it is the coach or partially the coach, but it's also look at yourself. You want to pass blame to everyone else? Like, where did I fuck up? How can I go and dissect and make myself better? I guess perfectly. That's what black culture clearly has problems. It's not racist to say that. People will say it's racist. It is.
Issue, bruh. Listen, bruh. Can you imagine how great the world would be if the white nationalists and white supremacists looked in the mirror and says, "How can I be better?" Can you imagine how drastically different and better off the world would be if white supremacists looked in the mirror and says, let's look at our history, man, and figure out where we can go wrong, Let's look at the, 400 years of history, of oppressing minorities and say, you know what, man, let's maybe change that. Let's maybe treat people how we want to be treated, right? Let's maybe open up this country and be a welcoming home for all minorities. Maybe let's do that. Maybe let's not, elect a president, elect a VP, right? Empower Stephen Miller, right, to get elected to represent all Black Americans or all Americans in general, white Americans, Black Americans, whatever. Let's not elect an administration to represent all people, but yet that administration is filled with people claiming this is a white country and blacks don't belong. Can you imagine if these folks looked in the mirror and took their own advice, how better off the world would be? Man, bro, y'all better cut it out, man.
They can figure the problem is it's never going to get fixed. White man's racist. Maybe it's true, but is it going to fix anything?
No. And it is funny that you would say that. You said blacks have a problem, and clearly everybody knows it. Mm-hmm. If you say it as a liberal, you will get championed and they will applaud you because you have to say it this way. Mm-hmm. Blacks can't help the situation they're in. Someone put them in that position, and it's usually us racist whites, and we have to flog ourselves and ask them for forgiveness for our racist ways, because if it weren't for us, they would be in a better spot, which isn't true. A lot.
Tommy, saying this is completely rejecting history. Okay? Yo, do you think, again, Tommy, this is just me like just asking you a real question, bro, okay? Do you think that white folks and other races are just so much better, so much smarter, so much more profound that they were able to build wealth honestly to an extreme advantage over black folks the right way? Do you feel like the wealth gap is so large because white folks are just that much better at building wealth than black folks? Do you feel like the wealth gap is this large and the quality of life is this large among white and black folks because white folks are just that much better at building than black folks? Or do you feel like we started off on unequal footing? Or do you feel like Jim Crow, slavery, post-Jim Crow, and the system that was created to keep black folks down have something to do with it? Right? So before you can address all the current issues and the consequences of their actions, can we address their actions first? Can we address how black folks got to where they are? Can we address it? Now, y'all point to the Jewish people and say, yo, they were in the ghettos too. Well, they got an entire nation to themselves. Give black folks their own country and see what happens.
A lot of what blacks are doing is self-fulfilled. They are doing their own damage. And even the blacks that are in America, if America was so racist, why is it that blacks from other countries are trying to come here?
And they come here and they succeed. Black people from Africa, I believe, make more money than white people born here.
Yeah.
That right there is kind of like when I saw those statistics, I'm like, it completely blows it out the water. They don't want to share those to you. It just shows if you're taught a victim from a young age, and they succeed. Black people from Africa, I believe, make more money than white people born here.
Yeah.
That right there is kind of like when I saw those statistics, I'm like, it completely blows it out the water.
Which is just, it's just cute. Yo, listen, bro. Listen, the immigration process works like this. Y'all, are allowing the best of the best to come here, right? Now, dump all of Africa in America and see how those numbers get skewed. But if you guys are only allowing people on, let's say, student visas, right? Or let's say work visas, right? If you guys are allowing, let's say, like black immigrants from, let's say, Africa, or let's say the Caribbeans, or anywhere else, right? Y'all are allowing people to come here on student visas who have who are currently doing advanced studies. Okay, y'all are allowing advanced workers like doctors and nurses to like come here. Cool. Then wouldn't naturally, if you guys are filtering in those people and only allowing them to come over here, wouldn't that just naturally mean that those people will automatically just start off, like on a different level economically than anybody else? Because the people you guys are allowing here are coming for advanced degrees and are coming already in advanced career paths. So those people will be doing great, but that does not take away from the systematic oppression of like everybody else. It just doesn't, right? And the refugees who do come here, they come here with stipends. They come here with like packages, free housing, all right, free food, money every month, business grants and loans. So they're being presented, and automatically they're being presented with an advantage already than a person who was born here who starts off poor. So if the people coming over here are already coming over here with advanced degrees and advanced career paths, and the ones who don't are damn near being handed advanced degrees and advanced career paths, then those people will be at a different economic level. But that does not take away from everything else. It just doesn't.
They don't want to share those to you. It just shows if you're taught a victim from a young age, how damaging that. If I was like a black person had a black child, I would be right from a young age. I would teach my kid, you are not a victim. You are not a victim. This shit has not brought you down. If you're telling someone you're a victim, how are you going to succeed?
Well, when you look at things like, I know what's in the news now, the Daniel Penny case. Mm-hmm. Daniel Penny, what happened with him You had a black guy that was dealing with mental issues, and that happens a lot in the black community.
Yeah.
But no one deals with him. I've been black my whole damn life, shockingly enough to a lot of people. Been black 49 years now. Birthday was just yesterday. Therefore, I have seen, and I can't speak for all blacks, but I can speak for what I've seen. And I noticed that the mentally ill do not get discussed. We think it's a white thing to go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. That kid that was on the train was threatening to kill everyone. His family wasn't there. They did nothing.
Yeah, no, okay, but mental health is a big issue in our community. But mental health is not the reason why the wealth gap is the way it is. Mental health is not the reason why black folks are being shot and killed in the streets. Mental health is not the reason why these systems were created to put us in our place. It's not. So yeah, the mental health is it's important, but that has nothing to do with what y'all are talking about.
Nothing to get him help. And yet they're the main one that's out there now saying this shouldn't have happened.
Everybody is mentally ill. The white community needs to handle their mental illness. Asians, Mexicans, Hispanics, everybody is, this is not an issue just for black folks.
To him. They're probably drinking some money too.
Yes, 100%. That's why I was going with that. So why weren't they there when he needed their help? And it's not just him. Almost every one of these stories you hear, it's about some mental conditions that the black person was going through. George Floyd, he was having a mental break, and you could see where his life was. Sandra Bland, same thing. And yet these people's family did nothing to help them or to mitigate the situation that they were in. How many stories have you heard?
I can almost guarantee you, bro, that mental health ain't the reason why Derek Chauvin nailed on George Floyd's neck and murdered him. Mental health had nothing to do with it. Derek Chauvin was the mentally ill one. Derek Chauvin was the one who had a mental illness. Derek Chauvin did not like black people. They spoke to numerous people from Derek Chauvin's past. Derek Chauvin had a documented history and problem with black folks, black coworkers, black employees, right? Black associate. He had a documented issue with black folk. He was a violent person. Even at his security job, he was a violent person. So Derek Chauvin becoming an officer and murdering somebody on camera was just the path he was on. It has nothing to do with mental illness, right? But that's the reason why I believe as well, it's hard to have these discussions with people like this because, Jake Shields will utilize the mental health thing, right, as an excuse for why black folks are being victimized. You see, if you have that discussion with someone like Jake Shields, he will see Saya Massey getting shot and killed in her kitchen and then say, hey, listen, man, she was a crazy woman. She was crazy. It's mental health. She was shot and killed because these officers, they had a mental illness. They hate black people. George Floyd was murdered. Has nothing to do with mental illness. Right, but you can have these discussions with these people because they're so bad faith, man.
Calling the police on their own child. The police come not knowing that they're dealing with a mental case. This guy's walking out with a knife or a gun. They kill him. Then the mother turns around and say they did it because they were racist. But you're the mother. Why did you call 911 to deal with your own child?
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And, it's George Floyd, I read somewhere, I don't think his family visited him in several years. And then they're suing, crying. It's like, you didn't even go see your kid, your kid, and now you're going to play the victim. Like, that's part of the problem. You're not seeing your kid. You're making excuses. It's, what was the case? The one guy ran around his car, I think, to grab a knife out of the car, and they shot him. Is the policing bad sometimes? I'm not going to say the policing's always good. Like, the guy shouldn't have put his neck on George Floyd's knee, but that didn't strangle him to death. I do chokes for a living. The choke doesn't choke here. It has to come from here. Yep. That guy was an asshole. I don't think he was a good dude, but I don't think he killed him.
That was the fentanyl, but we don't want to talk about it. Yep.
Yeah, a cop should be trained better, so I'm not giving nothing, but how many years he got? That's ridiculous. Maybe a few months.
Well, here's the thing. The cops should be trained better, and we all say the cops should be trained better. But if blacks believe that white cops were so horrible, why is it they don't raise their children to grow up to be cops? Why is it they don't raise their children to grow up to be lawyers? Why is it they don't raise their children up to be doctors? Why is it they don't bring their children up to be judges? All these things they believe that blacks are being affected by. The one thing I show respect.
What? Nigga, what?
Raise their children. White cops were so horrible. Why is it they don't raise their children to grow up to be cops? Why is it they don't raise their children to grow up to be lawyers? Why is it?
Wait, pause, bro. If black folks don't, hold on, bro. If black folks don't raise their kids up to be cops and lawyers, then what do they do? What? Do you understand how many black cops they are? Do you know how many black lawyers? What are you talking about? They outnumber us. So no duh. The entire police force can't be black unless it's like Atlanta. What are you talking? Listen, Tommy, bruh. Tommy, man, you had an opportunity, bruh, to sit in front of Jake Shields and put in some straightening. What do you mean? Well, bro, pause, bro. I'm so confused, bro. Yo, what do you, bro, what do you mean black folks don't raise their kids to be officers and lawyers and doctors? What are you talking about? So what do black folks do? So what do we raise our kids to be then, Tommy?
Up to be doctors. Why is it they don't bring their children up to be judges? All these things they believe that blacks are being affected by. The one thing I show respect to Jews for was every place they felt like they were being mistreated, they infiltrated that place so they wouldn't be mistreated.
No, they hustle. You can't deny that. In a particular group, they might be behind
y'all crazy, homie.
The victimhood and some of the slave trade and some of the media telling them they're a victim and BLM, etc.
Yeah, imagine this. I can tell you that you're a dog. You have dog hair. You're alien. I can say all this stuff on national television and I not be canceled because you're white and white man must take whatever I say.
Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Fam, people were being deported from the United States for having a bad thing to say about Charlie Kirk. Do you understand that kids on student visas were being deported from the United States by Marco Rubio for saying they don't believe that Charlie Kirk was a good person? Since when? Since when could you just openly criticize white folks? Nigga, what? Yo, somebody wrote an op in their student newspaper about Donald Trump and Netanyahu and got deported for criticizing non-white folks. Is you crazy? Hey, bruh, we gonna stop it here. Yo, hey, listen, tell Tommy, let's get it. We gonna stop it here and we're gonna do part 2 to this. So I'm gonna do part 2 to this, okay? But we have to stop here because it's 1 p.m. and I have to go make videos. So I have to go make videos, okay? So people will be back tomorrow at the same time. I'm gonna be going live every day at 7 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Central. So, we'll be back, okay, tomorrow. And we're gonna finish off the rest of this tomorrow, okay? Now, let's read off the last super chats and then we get busy, okay? Come on, let's read off the last super chats. 1 second. 1 second, 1 second. Let's go, okay? Come on, let's go. Let's go. Somebody says, last month Tatum, okay, no, Ranger Oil says, last month Tatum was complaining the party was calling him that word. Digital media says, oh, you stupid. Every time I hear Tatum speak, no, that's a fact, bro. Like, bro, Tatum is crazy. Ranger Oil says, Tatum is stuttering more than Flacco. Yo, I'll be real though. Nah, like the dude, I forgot his name, yo. Yo, Tatum is so deceptive and so coy that I actually thought like that he might be able to kind of like deceive his way through this conversation. But I'll be real, yo, the brother held Tatum accountable. Like he held Tatum accountable. Like I thoroughly enjoyed that SmackDown, okay? Digital Mafia says, talk to that ninja, man. That's a fact. Talk to him, right? He cooked him. And Natty, sorry, wait, what can I see? Oh my God, bro, wait, hold on. Why can I see the full name? Okay, I'm sorry, guys. So I can't see the full name. Okay, so Nataboy0810 says, Tatum not invited to the cookout. Damn sure ain't invited to theirs. Haha. So delusional. Can't believe I supported him back in the day. Grifter for money, bro. That's a fact. Listen. Tatum is a grifter. Yo, I'll be real, yo. That Sanya Massey thing. If you're somebody who watched Tatum talk about Sanya Massey, and you say, "Oh my God, nah, bro," if I'm like that right there should have been the end. That was just disgusting. Ranger Oil says, "Good Lord told her. That's why she rebukes this demon." That's a fact. Ranger Oil says, "Training calls for creating space." Period. That's facts. And Nata Boy says, Sick of hearing this liar misconstrued info. We all know Nolan was on that return boat, asking the parents to apologize. Inhumane, like grifter. Will he know? Boat Lumino for any blood, GPA, and GPA, kids, parents, emails, phones, analyze that. Listen, that's a fact, yo. Analyze that GPS. The Black Republican says, you're from North Dakota, cut it out. Bro, I'm from North Dakota, and what? I gotta be an Uncle Ruckus like you? So Selma Perone says, check out Chronicle Speaks video from 6 hours ago. She isolated the right stereo audio. The left was operated right where the kids, and you can hear more from the kids. I'm gonna do that on the next live. That's a fact. No BS Media says, I was convinced by Malcolm X and Stokely Carmichael to not trust them. Hey man, quick 291 says, so can I be a mod now? Yo, listen, quick. DM me on Instagram. Mods take heavy, listen, it takes heavy vetting to be a mod, so DM me on Instagram, okay? People, we'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central. I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow, okay? Like, so Rod and Rose says no mods. I'll think about it, man, okay? So, hey, listen, man. Like,